Reborn to a different world, I found that this is just like a Xianxia game you played on the earth, and you are now the brother of the most miserable supporting role in history. Your sister is just 1 year old this year. What should I do? Sister, stop learning to walk and come practice boxing with me. Reader Group 3979023330, automatically joining the group when answering correctly, keywords of the novel. I trained my sister to level 8 martial arts without pop-ups. I trained my sister to level 8 martial arts. Download the complete text, and read the latest chapters on how I trained my sister to level 8 martial arts. Chapter 1, let's start with 100 moves. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1, let's start with 100 moves during the Great Zhou Dynasty, during the 8th year of the Hongqiao reign. The backyard of Huangqiu County Government Office is a time of butterflies dancing and orioles flying, and willows turning tender green. A 5-year-old boy is practicing boxing with a 6-year-old girl. Little girl. I can't practice anymore. The little boy said domineeringly, I don't care if you can handle it, but if not, you can hold on to it for me. The passing maids and mother-in-law were all amazed as they watched the young master with a tiger head and tiger brain practicing martial arts with the young lady. No matter how many times they watched, it was always so fun. Of course, this boxing technique is simply a child's naive fantasy, just punching, kicking, stabling, punching, kicking, stabling. I won't practice anymore. I'm going to eat rice dumpling. The little girl wanted to run. The garden immediately roared with wailing sounds. Sister won't play with me. Sister is a bad guy. Wow. Young master, you can't do this, even the new clothes are dirty. The old woman hurriedly went over, trying to pick up the young master rolling around on the ground, but it was already late, and the clean young master became a mud ball again. The old woman was beaten back by a punch, and the young master's little hand tightly grabbed the hem of the sister's skirt who wanted to escape. You let go. The little girl struggled to break free from the small claws pulling at the corner of her skirt, but couldn't move at all. With a hiss, the skirt was torn. The little girl was stunned and then burst into tears. The maid's face also turned green in an instant. Upon hearing the sound, the Yamen runners and senior officials all burst into laughter at the sight. This is the daily routine of Lu Fu's harem. County Magistrate Lu Yutsuan has a pair of very beautiful children, and his wife Lu is also a famous lady from a wealthy family. The first child was a young lady, and the second child was followed by a young master with a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain. She really envies others. But the young master's personality is a bit worried. He has been holding on to the big sword since capturing Zhou, and at the age of 2, he has just learned how to speak and aspires to become a great hero. He even insists on practicing martial arts with his sister. At first, everyone thought it was just a moment of fun, but they didn't expect that this commotion would last for 3 years, practicing boxing rain or shine. A group of constables and captains found it interesting, and as they passed by, they used 2 moves. A passing hero also lost his internal mental skills and came to cause trouble. The young master was like a treasure, learning whatever he needed. Both vertically and horizontally are techniques for strengthening the body. If you want to have fun, Lord Lu doesn't care. The most enthusiastic one is the constable, who treats children as poor and happy. Young master, the white crane spreads its wings. Young master, calm the sand and let the geese fall. The white little buttocks are covered in dirt on the ground. Why not have another, fierce tiger descending the mountain, or yellow dragon going out to sea? Has the young master learned everything? The young master is a talented individual, so I can only teach him the martial arts skill of teasing the holy leg. Look at me teasing my pussy legs. The young master shouted fiercely at his sister, Sister, do you think I'm fierce? Hey! Hey! Miss Lu countered with the same move in confusion. After kicking each other with his legs, the young master fell to the ground with his legs sandwiched in laughter, and Miss Lu won. The despicable constable was beaten by the angry Lord Lu, and the Lu family, which has been passed down for 10 generations, almost became extinct. No one is allowed to teach children anything messy in the future. This matter has gradually become well known far and wide, even Shangguan has heard of it and wants to take a look. Oh ho, it's really as rumored. You practiced so seriously. Governor Du, who had nothing to do, went all the way from the state capital to watch the excitement, which gradually made Lu Yuzuan feel uncomfortable. Mr. Du stood in front of a cluster of peonies, watching the two children playing tricks there in a dignified manner. The young master was there seriously punching and kicking. These short legs, tiger-headed and tiger-brain are really cute. The little girl is even more beautiful, pink, just like a little beauty. I tell you that this horse step must be practiced well, otherwise it will be difficult to exert force. The tiger-headed little boy patted the girl's waist and legs one by one, correcting her posture. The little girl didn't want to practice. Why do I have to practice this? This move is so ugly. Because you are a woman with little strength, the little boy sniffed and said seriously, as long as you practice this well, even a man can't beat you. So you can't fight either. The little girl was skeptical. I have fought before because I taught you this, the little boy said. Whoever can win depends on their deep skills. Now you can push me and give it a try. Then the two of them stood face to face and started pushing each other, fighting like a goat. Surprisingly, they couldn't even push each other down. Mr. Du found it very interesting. The two children pushed back and forth, but not all of them were fighting and deceiving each other. You are real and I am fake. The person who was deceived couldn't help but shake and wander after being pushed away. The siblings laughed with a quack of joy. Lord Du also followed suit. Can this be considered as practicing martial arts? Not to mention the 9 immortal schools, even the martial arts of the 9 schools in the Jianghu do not have such skills. To put it simply, this is a game where children crown themselves in the name of martial arts, but it is indeed very joyful. Suddenly, the little boy heard laughter and his face changed. He ran over and loudly asked, "Are you Du Yufeng?" Mr. Du didn't care about being called by the child's name or taboo, and smiled, "Just call me uncle. Your father and I have the same friendship as classmates, and we are brothers and sisters." Unexpectedly, the young man rushed over and shouted, "Try my iron head skill." Mr. Du instantly broke through his defense and was hit by one end in the crotch of his pants, his face turning purple. There was a scene of chaos, with screams of adults echoing one after another. The little boy was caught by the Yamen guards and sent to his mother's place to eat bamboo shoots and stir-fried meat. Mr. Du couldn't stand up straight for half a day. Why did he bump into me? The adults are laughing, the children are still young. Lu Yuzuan grinned desperately, gritting his teeth to accompany his smiling face. Next year, I plan to hire a teacher to discipline me. My Lu family has a scholarly background. Practicing martial arts is also quite good. Governor Du quickly recovered and laughed twice, dismissive. Now that the 8 wildernesses are in turmoil and demons are rampant, the Grand Tutor wants to make the people's hearts worship martial arts. What I need most now is a general who is both civil and military. Lu Yuzuan was surprised and said, "My Lu family has a scholarly background. Princess Huyang is looking for a female official to accompany her, and I think your daughter would be very suitable," said Lord Du. Looking at the situation, Lu Yuzuan was even more surprised and said, "But my Lu family has a scholarly background. Don't be so sensitive, Princess Huyang is only 6 years old now. Only at the age of getting married will the palace finally confirm whether it is suitable." Lord Du reminded in a low voice, "If you have the power of the imperial concubine and grand preceptor, you are afraid that your career will not go smoothly in the future. Princess Huyang is the most beloved eldest princess of the emperor, and was born to a powerful imperial concubine. Her maternal grandfather was the current Grand Tutor. The accompanying female official beside the princess has a natural advantage, as she can be recommended to go to Hongmeng Academy, become an immortal master, correct the law, and her classmates are all Wang's son Guizhou. As long as the popularity is good, wouldn't it be easy to take the Lu family to the sky? However, the royal family always makes appointments first, and it will be 7 or 8 years from now. Even if the Empress Dowager thinks Miss Lu is very suitable, she just enters the observation period first. There may be more than a dozen young ladies who have also entered the observation period, and during the 7 or 8 years before meeting the princess, officials from the inner court will secretly monitor them. Lord Du whispered and said, "My dear brother, I have been directly observed by the royal family for 7 or 8 years. Can this not be seen by the law? No one in the court is difficult to become an official, and it is natural for Lord Du and the people he promoted to belong to the faction of the Grand Tutor. It is not acceptable to have an ambiguous stance." Lu Yuzuan trembled and said, "But my Lu family has been a scholarly family for generations." All right, I know your Lu family is a scholarly family. That's it. Let me first register for Ling Qianjin, said Master Fu, laughing heartily as he walked away. The young master Lu Ziqing, who symbolically received a few shots of stir-fried pork with bamboo shoots, lifted his pants and sighed helplessly as he watched Mr. Du leave from afar. The future is indeed difficult to change. Even if she deliberately collides with Lord Du, her sister Lu Zishu will still be favored and recommended by Lord Du to the imperial concubine, becoming the accompanying reader of Princess Huyang. There's no way, this cheap sister is so cute. No matter how rough she is made, she will only be cute and lively. A series of bloody scenes flashed before Lu Ziqing's eyes. The criminals were grinning, Lu Zishu was crying helplessly, and she committed suicide in despair. The angry imperial concubine ordered the execution of the 9 tribes of the Lu family, with their heads rolling down under the light of the knife and blood staining the white earth. Meanwhile, the skinny and bony body of Lu Yuzuan was shackled and devoured by wild dogs in the icy and snowy land. It's too tragic. Only I know that in the face of Lord Du's arrival, the fate of the Lu family's downfall has begun the countdown. For some reason, Lu Ziqing was born with memories of his past life and was horrified to find that this world was very similar to the fairy tale cultivation game he had played with an open ending. But the plot of that game was very cruel. As the plot unfolded, everyone fell in love and killed each other, and a group of beautiful women died. And the butterfly effect is particularly strong, like this little sister, another group of girls will turn black. Lu Ziqing vomited blood and was abused for a summer before giving up, but unfortunately, he still remembers a lot about what happened in this world in his mind. At the moment of rebirth, Lu Ziqing did not know whether he was dreaming, but he was sure that he had become the brother of the most unlucky and pathetic supporting role. Although she is a supporting role, she has more roles than the main character. Because almost all the female leaders step on her, Lu Ziqing is very impressed with her tragic life. The reason is no longer important, the key is that Lu Ziqing knew from birth that his sister Lu Zishu would enter Beijing at the age of 14 to accompany the princess to study at Hongmeng Academy. On the way, she was brutally kidnapped by criminals and almost lost her innocence. Then came the various encounters in the academy, comparable to the 7 or 8 storylines of a dog blood palace fight, which were basically about grabbing the kind and weak Lu Zishu and ravaging her to the death. In the end, even my younger brother, who only had a sense of being a bystander, became a hostage of the mastermind behind the scenes, forcing Lu Zishu to betray Princess Huyang. Lu Zishu almost committed suicide in despair halfway through all the plot lines. The Lu family, due to betraying their master, were executed and buried with Princess Huyang, while the male pig feet opened the prelude to a grand conspiracy. This is the storyline of the first 3 years of the game. Based on the growth value and social favorability of the academy, determine the next camp. Preface, your sister. If we really follow these established futures, we will also catch a cold with hiccups. It is impossible to bow down and accept fate, and Lu Ziqing is determined to change everything. Although one day the god was very unscrupulous, it seemed that there was still a moral bottom line, which gave Lu Ziqing the foundation of his 2 lifetimes and made him a genius who practiced systematically in his mother's womb. But after much contemplation, Lu Ziqing realized that in order to break the situation of destruction, it was not enough for him to be able to protect himself. The key is that her sister Lu Zixu's personality is too delicate, and most of the time she can only rely on herself when things go wrong. So, just as Lu Ziqing was about to leave, he launched a sister-rearing plan while still in his infancy. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Sister Adoption Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Sister Adoption Plan. Taking the secret script thrown by a passing hero and following the random guidance of the constable and prison guard, Lu Ziqing, at the age of 4, gathered at the top of the 3 flowers and integrated earth martial arts with the cultivation and qi cultivation of this world. Prison criminals and passing knights have all become the targets of Lu Ziqing's artistic studies. I originally hoped that being rude to Mr. Du would make the other person leave without a trace, but unexpectedly, Mr. Du didn't pay any attention and instead became a bonus point. Lu Ziqing roared silently at Lord Du's back in his heart, "But you are angry. You're going crazy. What are you doing so well to your useless junior?" But unfortunately, Lord Du was not angry at all and strongly recommended the Lu family to the Empress Dowager. The wheels of fate began to turn, and a month later, a special envoy from the palace came and painted a portrait of Lu Zixu. The eunuch was likely to have taken advantage of Lord Du and praised Lu Zixu endlessly. Although she was a lively little girl, she was painted with a fairy-like aura, like a little fairy who did not indulge in worldly affairs. She even wrote, "Quick and eager to learn," on the side. The Lu family was officially accepted as a faction of the Grand Tutor and Empress Dowager, and countless pairs of eyes began to observe the Lu family in both light and dark. Entering the royal field of vision, Lu Ziqing dared not act recklessly anymore, as it would directly lead to the suffering of the Lu family. As a father, Lu Yuzuan is like walking on thin ice, and the good times of getting by are gone forever. 8 years of time, this inspection period is as long as 8 years, without any mistakes. From then on, no one was allowed to enter the backyard of the Lu mansion to watch casually, and the maidservants and mother. In law were also given orders. Once discovered, they would be dismissed because Lu Zixu must be trained to become a knowledgeable and rational lady of the family. In the following years, when asked by others if their children were still fighting, Lu Yuzuan would deny it like a cat with its tail stomped on. There was no such thing. It was all children's play, and it hasn't happened for many years now. Although Lu Fu tried his best to cover it up, the shouting of practicing boxing and the crying and commotion of the young master inside the wall persisted for a long time, causing passers-by to chuckle. Perhaps Lu Yuzuan has made up his mind to discipline him, or perhaps the young master has grown up slowly. Gradually, the young master's shouting can no longer be heard outside the wall, and instead, the sound of reading is loud and clear. People gradually forget about this matter, and occasionally mention it with a smile. Children, they are really cute. In a blink of an eye for 8 years, Lu Yuzuan had no intention of promotion and remained very stable as the magistrate of Huangqiu County for 10 years. During this period, I worked diligently and conscientiously. Although I did not achieve great success, I was also honest and devoted to the people. In terms of public security, it cannot be said that there are no closed doors at night, and bandits have disappeared, earning praise from the people. The young master has become a young master, not considered a playboy or excellent. For the people of Huangqiu, not many have even seen him. Miss Lu, at the age of 14, is getting married. As a child of an official, no one can avoid the arrival of that day. The whole family had a good meal, both celebrating and very reluctant, because Lu Zixu had to go to the school to study. According to the laws of the great Zhou dynasty, children of officials and eunuchs who reached the age of 14 must attend palace education for at least 3 years. Only handsome individuals who have completed 3 years of education and demonstrated outstanding performance can directly serve as officials, shining on their social status. There is no saying of male superiority and female inferiority in the Zhou dynasty, and women can also serve as officials if they have aspirations. But if you fail the entrance exam, both officials and the royal family will be severely reprimanded, fined or dismissed. Even more troublesome is that if children cause trouble and officials are charged with improper upper beam and crooked lower beam, the punishment will be quite severe. Every year, there are many officials who are tricked by the strength of the bare child. Madam, please walk slowly. Lu Yuzuan supported his wife, who had always been weak, fearing that a gust of wind would cause a gap between yin and yang. Lu Shiping Tingting stopped outside the study, listening to the loud voice coming from inside. The voice of his son Lu Ziqing, like a strict teacher, first sounded. First, recite Zhou Li astronomy. The soft voice of the daughters home, like clouds, immediately sounded. The heavenly official Jing follows, with a magnificent and majestic appearance. The 10 radiance technique is used to observe the auspiciousness of demons. Lu Yuzuan nodded as he listened, and there were no word errors or omissions in his rambling article. This article is very difficult, especially to memorize proficiently. What's even rarer is the deep affection between siblings. Lu Ziqing has been clinging to his sister Lu Zishu since childhood. When I was a child, I played around and pulled my sister to practice boxing. Later, when my family stopped practicing, we ended up reading together. Now I am more serious and responsible, helping my sister prepare for the exam. Lu nodded joyfully and made a gentle gesture with his fingers around his mouth, not disturbing them. The two of them tiptoed away. The effect of studying together with siblings is surprisingly good. The already intelligent two of them learn everything very quickly, and even 3 teachers praise each other. The evaluation in the palace is excellent. I don't know what kind of virtue I accumulated in my previous life, it's too worry-free. They just don't know the actual scene when the siblings endorse. They're leaving. Lu Ziqing took out a rotten pillow from under the bed and put it on his arm. Don't stop, keep carrying it. Bang bang. With a muffled sound of 2 blows, the cotton in the pillow flew out, accompanied by Lu Zishu's soft and weak recitation voice. The clouds are on the sun, called the monitor. Very good. Lu Ziqing praised, vigorously lifting his leg to protect his left rib and preparing for being kicked. With a slap of his whip leg, it swept across Lu Ziqing's body, causing him to fly and fall heavily onto the bed, plunging his head into the pile of cotton quilts. Lu Zishu's voice remained soft and sticky, with a slight gasp. The white rainbow permeates the sky and says me, in just one breath. Her voice had completely calmed down and she continued reciting. Okay, there must be no flaws after the move. Lu Ziqing took out a precious sword from the quilt without warning, jumped up, and swung it towards Lu Zishu. The snowy blade suddenly came to an end, and Lu Zishu skillfully took the white blade with her bare hands, then kicked her younger brother away. If Lord Lu sees his daughter picking up a blade empty-handed, he will definitely be so shocked that his lungs will spit out. But the smooth and fluent recitation voice overshadowed everything. Very good. Lu Ziqing covered her stomach and struggled to wrap around behind Lu Zishu, whispering, what if someone were to cross your neck with a knife like this? No one would do this. Lu Zishu felt very helpless. Her younger brother was fine, except for having severe delusions of being victimized. Lu Yuzuan is just a petty official with sesame seeds and mung beans. Who would waste so much energy to murder the daughter of a poor county magistrate? Hesitate and you'll die. Ah! The girl's spring onion-like fingers had already caught the blade between lightning, stones, and fire, twisted her body to elbow and then threw it over her shoulder. The poor boy rubbed the roof like a sack, spinning and falling into the pile of blankets on the bed. Unable to get up for a long time, he still felt relieved and said, that's good, that's it. Lu Zishu sighed and said, is this enough? There's still a long way to go. I'll be leaving tomorrow. I won't be able to see you for 3 years, won't you miss me? I would definitely think about it, but it's definitely not something I won't see in 3 years, the young man rubbed his waist. You must survive on the road, and I'll be looking for you at Huyang Academy soon. The girl sneered, and for an instant, the room seemed to be in full bloom. Huyang Academy, is it something you can go to if you want? The academy that Princess Huyang wants to enter is Huangjue Huyang Academy. That is the authentic place where the descendants of the great Zhou dynasty and the ancestors of Huyang taught. The immortal master of the 4 institutes teaches, cultivates the righteous teachings of the human world, and learns how to help the country. Originally, small families like the Lu family had no chance at all, and Lu Zishu had the privilege of being accompanied by a princess. In order to protect you, I have to go no matter what. Even if I work as a laborer, I will enter Huyang Academy. Lu Ziqing said confidently. How could there be so many people trying to harm me? Don't act around. Lu Zishu couldn't help but laugh and cry. I was going to accompany the reading, not to accompany the tiger. I heard that Princess Huyang has a proud temperament, but her upbringing is still good. The imperial consort is very strict with her children. Even if they don't get along well, she is not the princess's servant. The princess can't do anything to her. Besides, there are several candidates. The imperial concubine decides who to use. It depends on the entrance examination. The palace may not be able to choose her. There are bad people. There are so many bad people in this world. At times like this, Lu Ziqing puts on a dangerous posture and confidently says, Sister, you are so spicy and beautiful. As the saying goes, beauty brings trouble. You're the one who caused trouble. Lu Zishu didn't like to hear it anymore. I'll eat lotus root powder. If you don't eat it, you'll go crazy yourself. Behind Lu Zishu's gentle and virtuous appearance is a foodie. What you don't care about, others may think you're in the way. Anyway, you're just my level, don't think of this door. Lu Ziqing became enthusiastic, holding a pillow and blocking the door tightly. Lu Zishu flashed a few times but didn't pass, seeing a very serious expression in the young man's eyes. Aren't you itching without being beaten? Lu Zishu's face softened. Use your most powerful and ruthless move to deal with me. Lu Ziqing said resolutely, I am a bandit. He, if you can't get out, you will die. This is a critical moment of life and death, you must not hesitate. If you want to die, you go die. Lu Zishu became angry and raised her hand in a Tai Chi gesture, asking her heart. The 2 energies of Yin and Yang shook violently in the room with the condensation of Tai Chi Yin, and the soil on the beam of the room rustled down, flying in the bright light at the door. If anyone sees a 14-year-old girl exuding the true energy of a level 6 boxer, they will be stunned, and this boxing technique is different from any known school. The stagnant air in the room flows, and as Lu Zishu's arms relax, the swirling breeze rolls up the pages of the book and flips with a splash. Iron finger, with an inch of strength and 100 consecutive shots. The next moment, the young man spun backwards like a shell while holding his pillow, and with a loud bang, he crashed into the fence. The fence exploded with a big hole, and the orchids fell all over. Too strong, combining Tai Chi's Wing Chun with combos and collisions, combined with 2 completely different types of true Qi, can produce a tornado-like violent power when struck on a person. Curse me to death all day long. I don't know how to say a word of good luck. Lu Zishu was very angry, her arms shook, calmed her true Qi, and she finished her work and left. The groans of the young man came from within the fence. Lu Zishu's heart trembled and she turned to ask, Ziqing, are you okay? You passed the level. The boy jumped up with a head of orchid grass, thumbs up, and a satisfied smile on his face. Say the mnemonic for passing the exam again. Familiarize oneself with the environment, maintain emotional stability, know oneself and the enemy, and be confident. Don't give up in the face of adversity, and keep the rhythm in control. It's better to make fewer mistakes than impulses, as the first impression is often right. Say the principle of great beauty again. Don't give up or give up, smile until the end to be beautiful. If I were the Hongmeng Immortal Master, I would give you 10,000 points. The young man looked at the young girl in front of him, beautiful and graceful, who wouldn't like it? Then I'll go. Lu Zishu smiled warmly and left with a warm heart. The person who loves and cares about her the most in this world is undoubtedly her younger brother. 3 days later, people were shocked to receive news of Miss Lu's encounter with criminals on her way to Beijing. Successfully passed the review, come and send the second chapter. Would you like me to update one chapter every night at 8 p.m. in the future? Let me save more manuscripts, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Anti-hijacked robbers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Anti-hijacked robbers. When the report was received, the criminal had already been beaten to pieces. At the time of receiving the report, the Huangzhou county government was serving in Luyu village. Outside the toilet, there was a yamen runner shouting incessantly, "Your Excellency! The big deal is not going to be good. What's wrong with Lu Yutsuan's pants not even being ready in time? Is there a murder case? Miss has encountered a robber." Ah! But the robber was disabled by the young lady arranged by the master. The young lady had a safe journey and has already gone to Wangdu. Ha! Miss is fine, but the young master left a letter and ran away, saying that he wants to take care of Miss's safety and there is no need to search. He will write a letter back. Lu Yutsuan is completely confused. What kind of heroine? Have you ever arranged for a female hero? In front of the badly beaten bandits in Huangzhou prison, a young man appeared. Welcome to Huangzhou as a guest. The young man was holding a soldering iron in his hand, and Lang said, I know you were instructed by someone, and I also know that you mostly don't know anything. But there is always a contingency, right? 1 month after the incident. The capital of the great Zhou dynasty, Wangjing, also known as Wangdu. Wangdu is located more than 1,000 miles north of Huangzhou, with a radius of 200 miles in the capital area under the jurisdiction of Wangdu Prefecture. To the west lies the Ji River, to the east lies the Lui, with thousands of hectares of fertile land. The Qian River converges to form a sea in the south, known as Qianhai Lake. In the Qian Sea, there are 3 immortal islands and 6 cave immortals. At times, white dragons soar in the sea, under the guidance of immortal masters, creating wind and rain to ensure smooth weather for 100 miles along the coast. There are also 2 major docks in the north and south, connecting the 4 counties and 20.8 counties in the north and south through the Yongji and Tongji canals, making Wangdu the busiest place in the world. If one can climb high and look ahead, one can see the magnificent scene of thousands of sails racing at Wangjing Wharf, with a continuous flow of cars and horses, and shops lining in rows. In the most famous restaurant in Wangjing, Shiha Tower, there are storytellers who talk about new things every day, which is very popular. Today's storyteller was particularly enthusiastic. With a small drum beating, he drummed loudly, and Li Zhelongdong said, Today, I'm here to share with all the readers a fresh and interesting story. It's about a beautiful woman who has just entered Beijing and went to Hongmeng Academy. She is the apple of the eye of Lord Lu, the magistrate of Huangqiu County, and her beautiful name is Zishu. Yesterday, sir, I went to the dock specifically to catch a glimpse of half of the noodles. It was clear and dusty, and the noodles were like lotus flowers. The robber rushed onto the ship and then placed the knife on Miss Lu's neck, wanting to say something dirty. Suddenly, he felt a flash in his eyes. In an instant, the knife had been taken away by the machete, and then thousands of punches hit him like a gust of wind and rain, only causing the robber to sway. The audience cheered and some people were puzzled, why does the daughter of Huangqiu County Magistrate know boxing? With a startled clap, the storyteller exclaimed vigorously, This is precisely the exceptional caution of Lu Yutsuan, the magistrate of Huangqiu County. He had already anticipated that there might be criminals on the way, so he arranged for a female constable to disguise herself as Miss Lu and wait in the cabin. Surrounded by astonishment, it turned out that Miss Lu was not the wise one, but Mr. Lu. Anyway, this gossip is very fragrant. When everyone is interested, their teeth will be fine, their bodies will be great, and it's delicious to eat. The restaurant business is booming, and the storyteller is also making great progress day by day. No one noticed a 13-year-old boy sitting alone in the corner, silently holding up a glass of water and wine. Who on earth made this up? Did the sister who was afraid of trouble make it up, or did the storyteller make it up? It doesn't matter who made it up, as long as the result is good. Lu Zixu had a safe journey, and her father Lu Yuzuan also earned a good reputation for being cautious and taking step by step. The young man was naturally Lu Ziqing. He picked up the wine from his glass, took a small sip, and then dried it in one gulp. This is not wine, it's clearly fermented glutinous rice mash and sugar water. Although this world is exciting, compared to the previous Earth, it still lags behind in terms of material civilization. Spending money on alcohol is not at a disadvantage. Wanjing is truly a capital, and the sugar water is brewed better than in rural areas. To be low-key, one must first be low-key. Compared to the mastermind behind the scenes, my biggest advantage now is the 3 years of storyline that I still remember. If the future is going to change, the more one changes, the more blurry and significant the future will be. The incident of Lu Zixu being kidnapped by criminals on her way to Beijing must be changed. The consequences of this will to some extent disturb the mastermind behind the scenes, and it will already cause some changes. As a passerby character, one must strive to reduce their presence in order not to affect those main storylines. Now the first level has finally passed, and Lu Zixu was not kidnapped on her way out. The criminals were subjected to torture in the Fu Tai prison, but they couldn't ask anything because they were just some useless chess pieces. By chance, they learned that the ship of the Lu family was in trouble, so they went there. That's all, there is no useful clue to provide. Lu Zi's liquidation plan is to find a way to enter Hongmeng Academy and secretly help Lu Zixu. Furthermore, it is necessary to make oneself stronger. This world is roughly equivalent to the Sui and Tang dynasties in Earth's history, but it is a world of immortality and chivalry, with demon tribes disappearing into the human world and various wild monsters appearing in the mountains and rivers. That's right, there are many immortals in this world who can learn immortal techniques and internal skills. Although I haven't heard of anyone who never dies, people can increase their lifespan by hundreds of years through cultivation and become stronger. For the people of the great Zhou dynasty, Hongmeng Academy was a very sacred place, the closest place for mortals and immortals. If you can enter Hongmeng Academy, you may become a disciple of the immortal family, practice the immortal law, and break free from the mundane world. Lu Ziqing poured and drank on his own, pondering whether he could also take the entrance exam if he falsely reported his age. But due to a lack of referrals, it is impossible to have opportunities like my sister to accompany the princess in her studies casually. The royal family conducted an investigation 8 years in advance. How about finding a prince, pretending to meet and give a piece of candy to eat, to set up a friendship? Forget it, it's too troublesome. Let's stick to the original plan and sneak into the academy. Kid, is there anyone sitting here? A polite but contemptuous voice asked. Lu Ziqing's thoughts were interrupted and he looked up in displeasure, seeing an unpleasant face. A big man with a black face looked at him earnestly, and the light in his eyes was clearly that he had seen a fat sheep. Isn't such a common face just a robber character in the game? Naturally, there are people. Lu Ziqing said calmly, how could a child like me go on a long journey alone and have my adults defecate? The big man looked around suspiciously, his gaze paused on Lu Ziqing's thin luggage for a moment, only to leave with a hint of hesitation. After an hour, Lu Ziqing walked slowly on the path to Qunhai Lake. With no one around, Lu Ziqing hummed, I once dreamed of wielding a sword to walk the ends of the earth and see the changes in the world. With our golden voice, perhaps becoming a god of singing in this life would also work. No, I have to keep a low profile, otherwise I won't be able to see the main storyline clearly. A few villains suddenly jumped out of the roadside, and the leader was the big man, holding a big wind-throwing knife in his hand. A group of people grinned and gathered Lu Ziqing in the middle, while the big man showed his true colors and proudly said, "Kid, did you run away from home to play? Did you bring enough money with you? Pooh, I know you're not a good person." Lu Ziqing let out a pooh and spat out the grass stick in his mouth on the ground. "Do you know why bandits disappeared in Huangqiu County? Do you know how many despicable souls there are under my little fist, young master?" The big man's face trembled and he said, "Hand over all the money and leave you with a small life." Lu Ziqing put on a child's bitter expression and said, "No, I won't be able to starve to death without money." "No," the big man said kindly, "because I will sell you to someone who can manage food. They will teach you how to make money." There was a burst of laughter all around, and then the laughter abruptly came to an end, looking at Lu Ziqing's murderous face. Lu Ziqing said seriously, "Although I have always wanted to keep a low profile, it depends on the situation and I will only kill you. It would be best if you could be a little stronger. Turn it into my young master's experience points." "Hey!" The robbers were all surprised. A burst of true qi erupted from the boy's body, causing his clothes to tremble slightly. The gangster's face suddenly changed, and one of them used the technique of observing qi to pinch a circle in front of his eyes with his fingers, which immediately made his whole body tremble with fear. Martial arts master, almost equivalent to level 8 fist technique. Observing qi is a simple spell that can judge the opponent's true qi type and strength based on their strength. Although it can only be used when the opponent does not hide their strength, the visible strength is true. Thunder entanglement. Lu Ziqing raised his fist, and his true energy condensed into a snake-like shape, raging on this young man's fist, completely shattering the hope of the criminals. "Stop it!" A voice suddenly sounded from above, and everyone lifted their heads to see a female hero standing on the 7-star sword, breaking through the air. Lu Ziqing silently circled his fingers and also observed using the technique of looking at qi. One qi technique shows that sword immortal level 4. This female hero is a young lady, in her early 20s, with a well-trained figure. The areas that need to be raised are raised, and the areas that need to be raised are raised. A handsome face with a hint of elegance, it is the type of pure braid girl that all otaku men on earth would like. A pair of oily fried dough twists braids hung on his chest. Just for some reason, a few small branches stuck in his hair. The little sister let out a coquettish cry, and a sword light turned into a sword rain and scattered, forcing Lu Ziqing to retreat and saving the lives of the criminals. "Look at what you've done." Miss stood tall and pointed at Lu Ziqing with indignation. "This child's legs are trembling with fear." Leg tremors. Lu Ziqing looked at his pants legs. Was it true that he was boasting? Why did that sword rain turn towards me? If it weren't for flashing quickly, I would have almost been poked to the ground. Is the female hero having poor eyesight? Where was the master of level 8 martial arts just now? The female hero stumbled and fell from the 7-star sword. Jumping down, searching around, why is it missing? Confirmed, the eyes are not good. It's not generally bad, it's very bad. Lu Ziqing and the bandits lowered their heads together, unable to bear to look straight at each other. The small branch inserted at this end, flying with a sword, is simply dangerous driving, right? A misunderstanding, offended. The bandits, led by the big man, simply turned around and left. Where to go? The female hero let out a coquettish cry and relentlessly scattered a rain of swords over her. The great Han turned his body and struck back with a knife, and the criminals raised their swords together to block the sword energy. In Lu Ziqing's stunned gaze, the female hero had already become entangled with a group of criminals. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Uncertain Abelian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Uncertain Abelian. A person challenges a group of people, and the strength of both sides is quite similar. Should this be considered brave, or even a lack of strategy? Lu Ziqing admired the fierce battle while harboring deep resentment in his heart. Not to mention the martial arts skills of the female hero are really good, but the hit rate is too low. The group led by the criminals is a third-order swordsman. As long as the female hero doesn't make mistakes, she is likely to win. Lu Ziqing was also prepared and helped the female hero when she stumbled. Ah no, when she stumbled. After a cup of tea. Half an hour later. 2 hours later. Lu Ziqing watched innocently as the female hero stabbed the big man with a sword, and he himself was covered in injuries, struggling to achieve victory. Many times I wanted to lend a helping hand, but I was afraid of being looked down upon by the female hero and turned around with a single sword. This little sister has bad eyes, but her intuition is very keen, a bit like a blind knight, able to sharp crack various hidden schemes and backstabbing. Hurry up and hide. The female hero ignored her blood-covered face and pulled Lu Ziqing to hide behind a big rock. What are you doing? Lu Ziqing trembled a bit, killing a third-level bandit and a group of very ordinary criminals who fought for 2 hours and were covered in blood. Is it necessary? There is an 8th-level boxer in this group who hasn't appeared yet. I may not be his opponent, the female hero said seriously, looking around with mesmerizing eyes, unconsciously getting closer to Lu Ziqing. Lu Ziqing muttered to himself, are you still pushing forward if you're not your opponent? A typical lack of strategy, right? Or, is it the kind that is very just, even if one knows they will die in order to save others? Not to mention, the female hero is still very pleasing to the eye. Lu Ziqing swallowed his saliva. It was the first time in his life that he was so close to a beautiful woman's face, except for Lu Zishu. If he were closer, he would kiss her. This is not only due to poor eyesight, but also a bit unpredictable, isn't it? It's too tempting to commit a crime. This hazy face is very pure, and sometimes it even appears silly and cute, making people want to touch their heads. Lu Ziqing was excited for a moment, almost unable to control it, and recklessly crawled into the arms of Mississippi. 2 people hid behind the stone for half an hour. I can't bear it anymore. Lu Ziqing got tired of drilling in Mrs. arms and jumped out from behind the stone, starting to search for the bodies of the criminals. Danger, the female hero whispered. I'm not afraid of danger. Lu Ziqing picked up the big man's knife and glanced at it. He was too poor, so this big knife was worth some money. Think about it, whoever has money is still a bandit, and whoever has strength is still robbing the road. Come back quickly, I can't protect you in case of danger, the female hero whispered. You squat down, I'm leaving. Lu Ziqing took a few steps helplessly and turned back. Look, it's okay. The master you're worried about must have left long ago. His martial arts are at level 8, and he even ambushed you, a 4th-level sword immortals girl named Mao. You make sense, little friend. The female hero breathed a sigh of relief from behind the stone. Let's go then. Lu Ziqing said helplessly. I can't leave now. Why? My legs are numb. Sword Immortal crouched to the point of numbness in his legs, which Lu Ziqing had never heard of before. This is a very advanced profession, belonging to Xianlu. Can you fly with a sword? I have run out of true energy. Take it seriously. Lu Ziqing didn't turn back and left. Although Miss is good, it's just too troublesome. Oh my, screamed from behind the stone, I forgot. I was late for the interview. Oh my goodness, I was supposed to go to Huyang Academy. I got up, I can't get up. After a moment, Lu Ziqing carried his little sister on his back and ran wildly on the mountain road to Huyang Academy. The main road is winding, while the mountain road is relatively close. Although it's steep, it's much faster to run over. The female hero's ears were filled with wind and she said unexpectedly, "Hey, have you ever practiced? Your stamina is very good." Although the female hero has a bad eye and is insightful, she has an admission ticket. Lu Ziqing said, "Don't worry about these details. The female hero is not very clever and easy to deceive." "Little brother, thank you." The female hero was very grateful and exhaled in Lu Ziqing's ear like a orchid, while coquettishly reporting to her family. "I am a disciple of Tianqing sect, and my name is Xie Wushuang. You can call me Xianxia." Lu Ziqing. The future that Lu Ziqing planned for himself was to be a beautiful man with few harsh words. Tianqing sect, that is one of the 9 immortal sects, a prestigious and upright sect. There is also a considerable connection with Hongmeng Academy, with thousands of years of friendship. However, there is no plot related to this little sister in my memory, so she should be a soy sauce maker. It's almost here, I can do it now. Xie Wushuang jumped off Lu Ziqing's back and lightly stepped onto the 7-star sword, flying up. The upward movement of the sword is very graceful, but the downward movement is very clumsy because the ground cannot be seen clearly. "Don't forget to take me in after passing the exam. I'll be your book boy," Lu Ziqing shouted and reminded from behind. "Don't worry, okay." Xie Wushuang agreed with a full mouth, disappearing from sight as he stepped on a sword beam. Lu Ziqing took a breath and looked down from the top of the mountain. The academy building at the end of the road was already faintly visible. A huge complex of temple buildings appeared at the end of the field of vision, just like the mountain gate winding through the sky, countless towers and misty clouds, such a large Hongmeng academy. I believe that no matter how poor the female hero's gaze is, she will not miss it. Oh, Qian. Wow, protecting the mountains and green dragons. Phoenix. There's a phoenix at the treetops. Lu Ziqing shouted and exclaimed, admiring the familiar scenery while sighing for a moment. This is the most magnificent royal academy of the great Zhou dynasty, and what is more concerning than its land occupation and magnificent architecture is its foundation. The emperors of the Zhou dynasty, half of the high-ranking officials, and even most of the empresses, and princesses have studied in this academy. It's not that the immortal masters are responsible for maintaining the media and pulling fibers. The moon is first found near the water tower, and it's the same in any world. Compared to the pighead squad leader introduced by parents, doesn't it feel good to marry a goddess who has been studying with her for 3 years? The sound of evening drums echoed in the misty mountain breeze, and the protective dragon appeared and disappeared in the mist, highlighting the extraordinary nature of this place. Every time you walk not far, there will be a temple where many people pray and donate incense money to the immortals. Hongmeng Ancestor is a land deity and the only heavenly lord guarding the mortal world in the great Zhou dynasty. Every day, a continuous stream of people come to pray for blessings, but if there are demons causing harm, as long as they inform the temple, Hongmeng disciples will come out of the mountain to help the country and slay demons and subdue them. At this moment, Lu Ziqing likes his wit. Although Xie Wushuang has a bad eye, she is a disciple of a prestigious sect and a true immortal master. It is too easy for her to enter the Hongmeng Academy as a senior lone student with the level of a 4th-level sword immortal. As her accompanying scholar, she can easily enter the academy. Although she cannot become a disciple, she can achieve her goal by being a bed and quilt maker inside. Lu Ziqing hummed a song and walked leisurely over. Sister Lu Zishu is probably also taking an exam at this moment, and with her intelligence, there should be no problem. I hope she won't be too surprised when she suddenly sees herself. Thinking about it, Lu Ziqing couldn't help but laugh. What kind of expression would appear on Zishu's face? She was really looking forward to it. Approaching the mountain gate, the number of pedestrians on the road has increased, mostly young girls who have already fallen behind. Everyone comforted each other and walked back when suddenly they saw someone laughing while walking, so they couldn't help but curse. "Kid, why are you laughing?" Lu Ziqing's smile was even brighter on his face. A group of losers who are not as good as NPCs will not have any intersection with the future of their siblings. This world is real, and reality can be cruel. Ha! Lu Ziqing was about to humiliate the other party when he suddenly saw a huge sword flying over the sky, resembling a flying boat with a handsome and aloof woman standing at the bow. A mixture of green and red chi swirled and flew beside her, reflecting her with clouds and rosy hues, and her clothes and clothing resembling rainbows. The losers on the road caused a sensation, forgetting Lu Ziqing's lewd smile and staring at the peerless demeanor that swept across the sky. The green dragon guarding the mountain chanted a long report, instantly filling the space. Floating cloud boat, green rainbow sword. The female protagonist with the highest difficulty in strategy, Lingxiao Fairy Ni Feihong. Lu Ziqing felt a chill in his heart, and Ni Feihong appeared. Those important characters will all appear in pink next. Ni Feihong, who came from the Xiaoyun sect and is known as the Lingxiao Fairy, obtained the true transmission of the Xiaoyun sect, one of the 9 major immortal sects, and was ordered by his master to go down the mountain for training. She came to Hongmeng Academy not to study, but to teach swordsmanship and select disciples for the Xiaoyun sect. Her strength is astonishing, and she is also nicknamed Mercedes' sister by the otaku on earth. Due to Ni Feihong's exaggerated moves, his arms held the Qinghong 2 swords diagonally, and the silhouette from the front looked very similar to a Mercedes-Benz logo. Even more proud than a princess, more colorful than a rainbow, who wouldn't want to see the iceberg melt? However, this is an achievement that few people can achieve, only existing in legends. Li Weiner, Princess Huyang, and Ni Feihong are the 3 most popular female protagonists in this game, and the difficulty of the strategy increases exponentially. It is speculated that it is impossible to follow Ni Feihong's route without playing for 3 weeks. Halfway through the week, almost all the players were already smoking from their abused heads. When Lu Ziqing crossed the border, he had not yet seen any clearance strategies. Of course, in the current world, no one would shout "Mercedes' sister" to Ni Feihong. But while Lu Ziqing was stunned, he suddenly had a bad premonition. At this moment, Lu Zishu had just clicked Mao and was waiting for the result in the quiet room. After the written test, there is an interview, and the interview is the real test. For the losers who account for 80% of the total number of registrations, the trajectory of life is thus separated. Next, half of the candidates will be eliminated in the interview. Out of the 8,000 recommended disciples from various regions, only 800 were able to become disciples of Hongmeng Academy. During the 3 years of living in the academy, 30% to 50% of the disciples will be expelled from the school. At this moment, there were hundreds of people in the quiet room, all anxiously waiting to call out to themselves. The assessment at Hongmeng Academy will last for several days, and it is said that students who value it more will be called up later in order to observe more. In Lu Zishu's mind, her younger brother's exaggerated expression came to mind. Actually, when you enter the examination room, the assessment has already begun. Those old guys are watching you from behind. The impression score is very important. All students observe their eyes, nose, and mind, and do not engage in much conversation. Occasionally speaking, they all exude a dignified and caring attitude towards the country and the people. Outside the corridor, there was the sound of a ring ornament accompanied by hurried footsteps, breaking the tranquility. A young but powerful girl walked in alone and glanced at the door. Seeing so many people, she shouted, "Lu Zishu." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Princess Huyang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. Princess Huyang. Lu Zishu knew who it was when she saw the young girl with starry eyes and phoenix-like eyes, exuding an unattainable royal aura. The rules of Hongmeng Academy are very strict. Even if it is a prince or princess, they can only put down their body and come in alone to take the exam without the accompaniment of servants. The accompanying reading that was inserted in advance was precisely the assistance arranged for the princess within the scope allowed by the rules and regulations. Lu Zishu stepped forward to pay her respects, and Princess Huyang was quite excited. She pulled her and sat together, talking about daily life, ignoring the surrounding crowd and the officials in charge of managing the quiet room. "Who is that?" Seeing that there was no one to care about, curious people couldn't help but ask in low voices. Lu Zishu's delicate and pitiful appearance, like water, had already caught the attention of many young men and received the jealous gaze of many young girls. The girl who is talking to Lu Zishu is very prestigious and cannot be easily provoked. "That's Princess Huyang," someone whispered. "There's no need to say anything about the daughter of the imperial consort, which is the most favored by the emperor today." The name Princess Huyang is well known to everyone in the Zhou dynasty. From birth, he lay at the pinnacle. His maternal grandfather Pang Zhong was the current grand tutor, holding the world's troops and horses. He was a true disciple of the Hongmeng ancestor. Her birth mother, Empress Consort Pang Min, was also a legitimate disciple of the Hongmeng sect. It was here that she was pursued by the current emperor as a destitute prince for 3 years, and finally won the favor of a beautiful woman, which became a popular story. The immortal masters of the entire academy are either uncles or masters. Princess Huyang arrived at this academy as if she had gone to another home of her own. In contrast, the current crown prince in this academy needs to be cautious, because the empress is from the Xiaoyun faction or the result of political alliances. The disciples of the Hongmeng and Xiaoyun sects fought openly and secretly from the academy to the court for decades, mostly ending in the failure of the Xiaoyun sect. If the crown prince behaves recklessly, he may be accused of being deposed. At this moment, Princess Huyang smiled brightly and said, "I heard that Lord Lu had sent a chivalrous woman to disguise herself as you and capture the criminals in a net." My mother was extremely happy after hearing this and praised Lord Lu's caution in front of her father. His father immediately sent someone to verify Lord Lu's political achievements, and he was indeed diligent. The students who were eavesdropping around immediately knew who the girl talking to Princess Huyang was. Lu Zishu is now famous in Wangjing. When it comes to gossip about Miss Lu's encounter with criminals and her capture of them, it is widely circulated on the streets and alleys, and there are various processed jokes and versions in the tea house. The truth is probably only known to Lu Zishu herself, but there is no doubt that the anti-capture of the robbers has made Lu Zishu beloved by the Empress Dowager, and Lord Lu is about to soar to the sky. The Taisher faction and the Imperial Concubine faction are the same thing. If the Imperial Concubine favors a vassal, the Taisher will definitely be highly valued. "See, Your Royal Highness Princess," a very beautiful girl came over and wanted to pay a big tribute. Princess Huyang waved her hand and stopped the other party's kneeling ceremony, without wanting to say much to them. "Since I have chosen Lu Zishu as my accompanying reader, talking to others more will only hinder my eyesight." Princess Huyang asked the examiner for a separate quiet room and said she needed to prepare for the exam, so she left with Lu Zishu. The privileged academy is still willing to give this, leaving only a look of jealousy and sourness. The bell for evening classes rings, and the sky is already dark, but outside the mountain gate, there is a bustling traffic and lights like a starry river. Today's final wave of admission notice. The on-duty star official hung the list high, and there were 50 selected disciples. Under the shining fire, there was an uproar. This wave is clearly characterized by a rise in yin and a decline in yang. The top 3 on the daily list are all girls, and only the 4th place shows a boy's name. Lu Zishu's name stands at the top of the list, making her the most outstanding member of today's group. Full marks in the written test, fluent answers in the interview, even the name of Princess Huyang Ji Zhonghua can only be ranked 2nd. Someone envied and said, "If you serve the Lord, aren't you deceiving him? If the Empress Dowager finds out, she will definitely be very unhappy. Dirty and talented. What stupid words to say." Lu Ziqing scolded without hesitation upon hearing this. Do you think that in your eyes, the assessment of Hongmeng Academy is paper-based, and even if you give a score, you have to consider your identity? Even Princess Huyang can only use her own name to show the fairness of Hongmeng Academy. Where did the yellow-mouthed child come from? If you don't believe in the fairness of the academy, your children don't need to come here. Tell the adults who released the list, are you dissatisfied with this list? Lu Ziqing grabbed the loophole in their words and didn't let it go. I'm not dissatisfied with the system of the academy. The other party saw that Lu Ziqing was a teenager and initially looked down upon him. However, after a few words, he was stuttered and retreated, covering his face. Not covering your face is not enough. If you are really hit by a teenager, your dissatisfaction words may really affect the results of the assessment. Lu Zi snorted coldly, feeling truly proud in his heart. The start was very good, and Lu Zishu's entrance exam results were also very good, indicating that another fate point has been reversed. After so many years of planning to take care of my sister, today it finally blooms and bears fruit. In the original story, Lu Zishu's reputation was ruined and her performance was at the bottom, while Princess Huyang ranked second to last. She was the only one who saved her face, so she pitied Lu Zishu and even kept her as a reading companion despite gossip. But the Empress Dowager was naturally very unhappy. Apart from Lu Zishu, there are also 5 other candidates who are also candidates for accompanying reading, while the remaining dozen or so have been eliminated in the past 8 years. Among those 5, Zhui Yuding, the daughter of the Minister of Personnel, is most suspected of causing trouble behind the scenes, as the other 4 are also passers-by. Excluding Lu Zishu who competes for her favor is advantageous for Zhui Yuding. Whether her father, the attendant of the Ministry of Personnel, can become a Xianxia during his lifetime depends entirely on whether the imperial concubine regards him as her confidant. Looking at Li Weiner, who was ranked 3rd on the list, Lu Ziqing felt embarrassed. Sorry, beautiful woman. A pure and innocent face appeared in front of her. Li Weiner was the most popular female lead in the previous game. She came from a poor background, but she was pure and flawless. In terms of image, everyone compares her to Zhao Linger. In terms of plot, her story will embark on the path of male pig feet-licking dogs, with 4 grandsons from 3 countries licking them together, raising suspicions that this story is adapted from Meteor Garden. Li Weiner was originally supposed to be at the top of the daily chart, and she was also at the top of the final overall chart, but now she has become 3rd. The reason is naturally Lu Ziqing's shameful betting. Well, when Lu Zishu was waiting for the interview, she would naturally see Princess Huyang. When we were preparing for the exam together, we couldn't help but talk about sending test papers. Surprisingly, she just happened to win the bet, so Princess Huyang became the 2nd. Otherwise, with Princess Huyang's foolishness, it would be impossible for the heavenly officials to give such high praise. Lu Ziqing's guess was accurate, but what he didn't know was that as the interview approached its end, the chief examiner, Yu Mingyu, would lower his face and ask, "Tell the truth, who will guide you?" Lu Zishu honestly said, "It's my younger brother." How did your younger brother know today's question? He just often likes to ask me some strange questions as a post-dinner joke. He started at the age of 8. What strange questions did your younger brother say? Let's hear it. For example, putting an elephant in a wardrobe requires 3 steps. This is called a brain teaser. Tian Guan Yumin was stunned on the spot. It was fate's will. What, put the elephant inside? Cough, of course, I cannot ask such naive questions. When it was Princess Huyang's turn, she also honestly said, what Lu Zishu told me happened to be what we just talked about. It's a stroke of luck. The heavenly official asked the heavens in silence and silently acknowledged them. The question that the old man racked his brain to come up with could actually be hit by a child. This is indeed fate, Zhou Hongfu. And Li Weiner honestly said, I myself. As a result, the heavenly Empress Li Weiner became the 3rd. The chief examiner, Mr. Yu, believes that she is not as honest as Lu Zixu and Princess Huyang, and has the suspicion of eavesdropping from the next door. Very similar answers, including some wording, "You are not eavesdropping." Is it possible that Lu Zixu's brother is also your brother? But in fact, the truth of the matter is that Lu Ziqing stole Li Weiner's answer across time and space, and added many materials that were popular among the examiners. At this point, the good news has also been reported to the palace. Upon seeing the list, Emperor Zhou felt somewhat displeased and said, "This is just a small list, and surprisingly, it puts my Huyang second. These immortal ruffians really don't take me seriously. The heavenly officials and the heavenly masters who protect the country were actually cursed by His Majesty as immortal ruffians. Is it true blame or a disguised praise?" Empress Pang Min couldn't help but chuckle, "Your Majesty, don't you see what kind of proposition this is? What level is Huyang? Your Majesty, as a father emperor, doesn't know. If the immortals don't rank last on the small list, they already give the royal family a lot of face. If the immortals rank Huyang first, on the contrary, everyone in the world will criticize the royal family." The Emperor of the Great Zhou suddenly turned his anger into joy, and Empress Ai's words were reasonable. Huyang is just a spoiled child, and as parents, you don't have to ask too much to know. Huyang must have followed Lu Zixu to pick a bargain. Take a look at this question. If a ship is on fire, and you are also on the ship, what will happen if the people and the emperor fall into the water together? A really shameless question, saving the people, saving the emperor, saving the fire, all of which are right or wrong. What celestial masters want to know is only the ideological tendencies of the students. Is it the concern for the country and the people, the pursuit of equality, the pursuit of loyalty to the ruler, or the transcendence of the world? Answers often have a lot of concerns because the answers are easily leaked. If you say save the people, the emperor will know. You said to save the emperor, all officials and people in the world will know. You said to put out the fire, the emperor is going to drown, you put out the fire. Emperor Zhou pondered for himself that if he were to answer the question as a royal son, he would definitely choose to save the emperor, with loyalty and filial piety all in one, without any problems. This answer is very steady. If we have to say something like saving the people first, it's too fake. Besides, the ship is on fire. Whoever saves the fire will sink. So does the key really lie in attitude? Thinking of this, the great Zhou Emperor Ji Guang couldn't help but develop a strong interest in high-scoring answers. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Giving 30 grid packets to newcomers in the village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Giving 30 grid packets to newcomers in the village. The Emperor of the Great Zhou opened the answer record of Princess Huyang in the hands of the Empress Dowager and saw it written. The world is unified, with the people being noble, followed by the state, and the ruler being light. However, we work together in the same boat, and our lives are of no high or low status. As the immortal master asked, the people are the people, the ship is the state, and both the emperor and the king are in danger. The root cause of such disasters is the inhumanity of heaven and earth. We should save the world ourselves. How can we save the world? From today on, we should study diligently, and be virtuous and harmonious with heaven and earth. When the country is in danger, if I have the virtue to prevent the ship from catching fire, the power to prevent the people from causing chaos, and the power to prevent the king from falling into the water, then all three can be saved. Wonderful. You said it really well. You can both see the essence from the surface of the problem and understand that the questioner's hard work is to persuade students and tell them that the world is not stable when they come to study. Therefore, when answering questions, the focus is on actively demonstrating an attitude of striving to learn. How can this not become the top ranking? The essence of this answer lies in transcending time and space, not being confused by the current difficulties, which is the true enlightenment of the immortal family. De Zhou, the heavenly emperor, flipped through Lu Zixu's answer sheet behind him, and couldn't help but twitch his face. Son of a bitch, basically not a word bad. Looking at it this way, the heavenly masters can still give Huyang a second place, and indeed they have given the royal family face. How could it be by chance that Lu Zixu remained calm when encountering changes and calmly helped Princess Huyang prepare for the exam, achieving such excellent results? It is impossible to miss any questions in an interview. This is something that only people with both moral integrity and talent, as well as profound blessings, can achieve. Emperor Zhou Longyan was overjoyed and said, as a small county magistrate in Luyu village, he is calm and meticulous, anticipating the enemy's opportunities. He can also educate his daughter to have such wisdom. He is truly talented. He has been promoted to 2 levels, so let's go and experience it in an important place. The Empress Dowager was also satisfied and said, pass on the imperial edict to this palace, and reward Lu Zixu with 100 taels of silver patterns, a pair of pearl earrings, and a purple gold ruler. She will be appointed as the position of Minister of State and Empress Dowager. I hope she will not disappoint this palace. The position of Minister of Personnel is an internal position in the palace, with no real power except for designated duties. However, his rank is very high, equivalent to that of a third-rank official in the outer court. But the responsibility is also very heavy. It can be said that she was placed with high expectations by the Empress Dowager. Once the assisting prince and princess perform poorly, the imperial consort is likely to be directly executed in anger. Nowadays, the great Zhou emperor has 9 princes and princesses, and the empress and imperial consort jointly govern the harem. But the emperor of the Zhou dynasty and the empress were in true love, while the empress was a political alliance, so in reality, the empress had much greater power than the empress. In addition to Princess Huyang, the imperial concubine also gave birth to a son, who was the second prince of the Zhou dynasty, 1 year younger than Princess Huyang and 2 years younger than the crown prince. The daily mental pressure that the crown prince and empress suffer can be imagined, and they have to worry about being deposed every day. At this moment, Lu Ziqing knew nothing about the rapid development of the Lu family. He hummed a song and searched for Xie Wushuang's name on the list, imagining his life as a laborer. I have finished reading the list. No. Lu Ziqing suddenly sweated profusely, and his bad premonition came true. Looking back now, she should at least have wiped the blood off her face before going. But at that time, Lu Ziqing thought that when the examiner saw it, he would definitely ask, "Why is there blood on your face?" "Oh, I am chivalrous and righteous." Isn't that a bonus? Otherwise, the reason for being late would be so forced. The crowd dispersed, and in the lonely dark corner, Lu Ziqing saw Xie Wushuang huddled together, his face dull and lifeless. "Aren't you?" Lu Ziqing shook his palm in front of her, hitting too hard and his pupils didn't react. "Hello, you." Lu Ziqing stopped a ranking official who was about to leave, pointing at Xie Wushuang and pleading urgently, "Did you not admit her because she was late? She is really chivalrous and righteous. She fought with the criminals for 2 hours, and I testify that she saved me." The ranking official looked puzzled, shook his head, and left helplessly. Lu Ziqing could only pick up Xie Wushuang and leave helplessly. "It's getting dark, leaving such a dull and beautiful female hero here, normal men can't do it. Take it to the secluded grove." Seeing her like this, not only did she suffer a great blow, but she really had a hand with someone and her heart was also injured. Lu Ziqing wants to find a place where nobody is around and give her some real gas. Half an hour later, Xie Wushuang, who had recovered, hugged Lu Ziqing and sobbed, "I'm sorry, little brother. I can't take you into Hongmeng Academy anymore. This female hero, please take it seriously." Lu Ziqing couldn't help but enjoy it, he was really gasping for breath. "With your level 4 proficiency in Sword Immortal, are you much stronger than those grandsons? How could they not accept it?" Lu Ziqing couldn't figure it out. Are you culturally poor, or are your answers written serially? Aren't your Tianqing sect closely related to the Hongmeng sect? There is no one with low education who cultivates swordsmanship immortals, and they should not be stumped by the question. Lu Ziqing felt that the look in her eyes was likely to indicate a serial answer. I'm not a disciple of the exam, Xia Wushuang said in a chat, I'm here to apply for a swordsmanship teaching position. Lu Ziqing almost spat his old blood into the fire, just you. Can you see your students clearly? How can you be competent in teaching swordsmanship to that Lingqi bandit who spent 2 hours practicing swordsmanship? And as a teacher, how can one also have a comprehensive level 5 or above in their cultivation evaluation? Sword Immortal level 4, even if the face can add points, it really cannot suppress the formation in terms of strength. Xia Wushuang blushed and said, my cultivation is barely enough, and I have a recommendation letter from my school. I thought it was no problem. Lu Ziqing covered his face, it was a big problem. Are you trying to use the back door? With the orthodox academic style of Hongmeng Academy, giving gifts is not acceptable. Besides, if you really don't even give gifts, just bring a letter of recommendation. Xia Wushuang said, but they only need one swordsmanship teacher, and unfortunately Ni Feihong from the Shaoyun sect has also come. Lu Ziqing covered his face again, needless to say. In front of the elegant and noble Lingxiao sister, you are a funny character. Wait a moment, the dog's mind of my stepmother comes to mind. If it were to mess with Ni Feihong's plot, the job search exam would be like a beginner's battle tutorial. Ni Feihong abused a funny opponent, always failing to hit the target and landing on the ground, refusing to give up. In the end, he annoyed Ni Feihong and kicked him away, turning into a star in the sky. It turned out to be you. You are the star on that day. Xia Wushuang said angrily, she is at the 6th level of Sword Immortal, but she is going to bully me, a person with only 4 levels. Lu Ziqing said speechlessly, they rely on their strength. She knows I need this job. Xia Wushuang was very angry. But they don't have much friendship with you either. Lu Ziqing was speechless, remembering that the Shaoyun sect was very noble and had a bad relationship with the Hongmeng sect and Tianqing sect. Moreover, the empress belongs to the Shaoyun sect, and the Hongmeng Academy also needs to consider balance. Priority must be given to admitting disciples of the Shaoyun sect as teachers, as the Crown Prince is also in the Hongmeng Academy. Hongmeng Academy is a very special place, not just for its own disciples, but for the 4 major sects to jointly establish 4 colleges, which are selected by the immortal masters of the 4 colleges to teach. She even hit me. Xia Wushuang was extremely aggrieved, saying that I am not worthy of being a teacher here would mislead children. The martial uncles of the Hongmeng sect also said that my demeanor was not generous enough. Sob. I have disgraced the face of the sect. I'm not wrong about that, said Lu Ziqing helplessly. If your unpredictable appearance gets too close to the students when talking, it can easily lead to rumors between teachers and students. Hitting someone is a fair martial arts competition arranged by the Hongmeng sect. It's unreasonable to specifically bully you. Ni Feihong has a very cold personality, with a pure and serene appearance. He says whatever he wants without considering the feelings of others. But Xia Wushuang, who was beaten, was the opposite. He had a silly and cute face, and if he looked at it for a long time, it would cause others to overflow with love. Just like myself at this moment, I can't help but want to touch the dog's head. The matter has come to an end, give up. Lu Ziqing roasted a few buns over the campfire and handed them to Xia Wushuang. Xia Wushuang took a bite and was shocked, it's delicious. Right. Lu Ziqing said proudly, the steamed buns from Drunken Immortal Tower, I told them they would be even more fragrant when roasted, but they actually scolded me for wasting things. Little brother, I'm sorry for you. Xia Wushuang had enough to eat and started apologizing again. Why don't I take you with my sword and let's go to the town to stay overnight? Forget it, let's rest here. Lu Ziqing shook his head decisively, shouldn't it be okay for disciples of Tianqing sect to take a nap in the wilderness or something? As for Xia Wushuang's current residual true qi, there is only a bottom line left. In the state of internal injury and loss of mind, Lu Ziqing brings a personal sword. He roasts in his heart that the sword is so small that a big myopic can fly at night. The possibility of a traffic accident is extremely high. I'm afraid you are not afraid of death. Looking back, Xia Wushuang was indeed a bit unlucky. If it weren't for the brave criminals exhausting their true energy, they wouldn't have been beaten so badly. But on the other hand, if Ni Feihong encounters those criminals and flies out with a sword, he will instantly settle the bill, and he will definitely not be as embarrassed as Xia Wushuang. At this moment, Lu Ziqing also had some emotions. Who would care about the story behind a passerby character in the game? After being kicked away, everyone laughed heartily, their appearance so rough that they didn't even notice their faces. It's not until I become a passerby and come to a real world that I realize what's wrong with not giving up until I die. Why do people mock her? It's natural for me to stay overnight in the wilderness, Xia Wushuang said timidly. I'm just ashamed of dragging you down, little brother. Xia Wushuang realized that he had dragged down his little brother, so he couldn't be left alone in the wilderness. Even in the mountains and forests of Hongmeng Academy, there is a possibility of encountering danger. It's okay. However, Lu Ziqing was already prepared. After going out for so many days, he had everything in his bag. It looks like it was taken out of a bundle, but in fact, this bundle's skin is a personal space. There are immortal methods in this world, and the personal space is not really a powerful treasure. The real name of Lu Ziqing's bag is Qianquan bag, which was given to him by the constable of Huangqiu County before he set off. The constable once casually taught Lu Ziqing how to tease her legs when she was young, which led to Lu Ziqing being kicked to the core by Lu Zishu, almost rendering the Lu family extinct. Although he may seem unremarkable, when it comes to being a constable, he can be considered as Lu Ziqing's first master in this world. The initial internal mental skills and martial arts were all learned from the constable. Before leaving Huangzhou, Lu Ziqing bid farewell to the constable and also demanded some things for wandering the rivers and lakes, such as Wei Ju Ye's sweat-inducing medicine. Unexpectedly, the constable didn't have a sleeping pill, but he gave him a Qianquan bag, saying that it was also worth some money in the martial arts world. I hope the young master won't remember those inconspicuous things from his childhood. Lu Ziqing naturally didn't care about what happened when he was a child, but instead wanted to be grateful to the constable for teaching him so many techniques in the martial arts world. And what is this Qianquan bag? Novice on the road, give a 30-grid storage bag when leaving the novice village. So when Xia Wushuang took out the mosquito coil, Lu Ziqing took out the mosquito net. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. I Want Everything. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. I Want Everything. While Xia Wushuang was meditating cross-legged to heal his injuries, he watched as Lu Ziqing set up a bed under a mosquito net and had a cold blanket. Xia Wushuang felt that his blood was surging and he couldn't heal his injury calmly. Staying overnight in the wilderness is normal, but I haven't seen anyone with such a sense of ceremony before. This young master doesn't look like a wealthy family by his clothes, but he enjoys it. Just being younger and having more courage. Xia Wushuang doesn't know why Lu Ziqing went to Hongmeng Academy. But I always feel that Lu Ziqing has something very important and won't give up. Xia Wushuang's face turned red as he remembered Lu Ziqing desperately explaining to the people in the academy for himself. I must be grateful for the kindness of my little brother, but this is the end of the matter, so I have to go home, right? After returning home, he inherited billions of assets and, relying on his master's connections, sent his young brothers to the academy in a dignified manner. He is 13 years old this year and can officially enroll next year. Although unwilling, as the master said, I may not be suitable for working hard in the world and should use more money and abilities. Lu Ziqing yawned inside the mosquito net and said, why don't you also come inside the mosquito net? Is that okay? Xia Wushuang asked in a daze, suddenly shaking his head in shock. Oh, no. It's not compatible between men and women. Thank you very much for your kindness, little brother. Oh, Lu Ziqing simply fell asleep. Sleeping in the middle of the night, I felt like someone had crawled in at the foot of the tent. At first, I thought it might be a little dog, but later I realized it might not be. Opening his eyes, Xia Wushuang looked embarrassed and said, "Little brother, the mosquitoes of the Hongmeng sect are so powerful. Is it because you have a bloody smell on you?" On the contrary, Lu Ziqing felt a bit guilty. In fact, he should have taken her to the town, at least to change into a clean clothes. But being a lone man or a widow can easily make it difficult to explain clearly. Silent all night. At the first light of the day, Lu Ziqing also followed his long-standing habit of meditating. The internal skills practiced by Lu Ziqing and the immortal path share a common foundation, both of which require meditation to nourish qi and strengthen the foundation and cultivate the essence. Lu Ziqing has just been lucky for a week, and Xia Wushuang has been running for 5 weeks. Due to his advanced martial arts, the amount of turbid qi excreted and absorbed in his body is greater than that of Lu Ziqing. Lu Ziqing felt that he was greatly influenced and secretly made up his mind not to engage in casual double cultivation with others in the future, otherwise it would be himself who suffered from being recruited. After receiving the credit, Xia Wushuang was full of energy. If you didn't know that she was severely nearsighted, you would still feel that her eyes were particularly ethereal and moving. Little brother, you also know martial arts. Xia Wushuang's heart and injuries have been repaired now, and his mind is working well. He apologized, "No wonder you dare to come out and play alone. Those criminals were not your opponents, they were my Meng Lang." From Tuna's aura, it is clear that the level 8 boxing master is the young brother himself. Xia Wushuang knew he was in trouble again. There are so many talented and extraordinary people in the world, and it is not uncommon to cultivate a level 8 fist technique at a young age. Although it may not appear to be a top-notch skill, the level 8 level is practical. Take action, my little brother's strength should be on par with mine. I'm not out to play, I must enter Hongmeng Academy. Lu Ziqing just felt it was necessary to clarify that he was not a playful and beautiful man. That's right. Xia Wushuang mistakenly thought that Lu Ziqing was an ambitious young man, nodding. The martial arts of the Hongmeng sect are authentic in heaven and earth, which nourishes the fortune of the world. If you could join the Hongmeng sect, you would be many times more skilled than the basic martial arts you have learned so far. Oh, I don't have to join the sect of Hongmeng, Lu Ziqing said. There are 4 major sects of immortal masters in Hongmeng Academy, and it's the same which one I learn. Why are they all the same? Xia Wushuang was about to explain to him that although the 4 major disciplines taught in Hongmeng Academy were all very basic, their emphasis was completely different. He saw Lu Ziqing raising his 5 fingers high and solidifying them into one claw. Lu Ziqing. I want everything. Where in the world can we find another place to learn the mind techniques of 4 sects simultaneously? Hongmeng Academy accidentally opened a huge welfare, so don't miss it if you pass by. Xia Wushuang said, This little brother is very ambitious. The martial arts of the 4 great gates are extremely profound. Practicing only one of them is enough for a person to have a clear understanding of the world for half a lifetime. Whether one can achieve extraordinary enlightenment depends on whether one's talent is suitable. So Hongmeng Academy chose to educate its disciples together with the other 3 major sects, so that each person could find their own suitable martial arts, and each sect could also find the most suitable disciple for themselves. Xia Wushuang gently advised, "Little brother, which master did you learn your martial arts from? It's best to ask your master which sect's martial arts are most suitable. If it's not suitable, it will be a waste of time to practice." My boxing skills. Lu Ziqing took out a basin from his backpack and started brushing his teeth and washing his face. He looked up and purred in his throat for a while, then spat out with a clear expression, "I don't have a master. When I was 2 or 3 years old, I played with my family guests and thought about it myself. A passing hero lost a secret book for me to watch and play with. Later, he pestered the prison leader, and many prisoners in the prison would do such a trick or two. These thugs were willing to teach me, so I asked the prison leader to add a dish to them. Xia Wushuang seemed to be struck by a thunderbolt from the sky. Lu Ziqing turned around and saw Xia Wushuang facing the tree roots with his back to him, as if he was working hard to study the commonalities between ants and himself. "What's wrong with you? I will never tell you that at your age, I have gone through countless hardships and finally had to take 4 Jia Zi Dan pills to advance successfully. How many levels? First order. Oh, it's okay then. You can continue squatting there." Lu Ziqing didn't know what to say to save face for Xia Wushuang. Perhaps Tianqing sect's martial arts were not suitable for her at all, and she even planned to persuade herself. The high myopia in her eyes was probably caused by the unsuitable martial arts, right? Will you become blind if you continue to practice? Lu Ziqing collected the mosquito net and changed the topic. Why are you going to the Hongmeng sect? My master said that my physical condition has a flaw and conflicts slightly with my own martial arts. I need to learn the martial arts of the Shaoyun sect to supplement it. However, my sect has a grudge against the Shaoyun sect and it is impossible for me to lower my face and beg them. However, the martial arts I need are available in the Hongmeng Academy, so. Lu Ziqing understood that if he came to Hongmeng Academy as a teacher, he would naturally be able to quietly learn martial arts under the guise of guidance, without losing face. As a result, this plan to win the respect happened to encounter Ni Feihong, a talented disciple of the Shaoyun sect, who was severely beaten in the face and didn't even have a chance to find a crack in the ground to penetrate. Xia Wushuang clenched his pink fist and said sideways, "I'm really angry with myself like this. Here we go." Lu Ziqing stared blankly at Xia Wushuang. Under the sky, was this cute and murderous expression of being angry with oneself definitely a premium welfare for otaku men? "What are you staring at me for?" Xia Wushuang blushed and suddenly felt that the little brother didn't seem that small either. This little pervert's gaze looked at him from head to toe. Xia Wushuang calmly straightened his chest, wondering why he lost the martial arts competition. "In some aspects, I won't lose to Ni Feihongdi either. How dare you plan to seduce a young man like me who has not yet been crowned?" Lu Ziqing was dumbfounded and secretly complained about it for a while. Well, Xia Wushuang needed to regain his confidence at this time. "Come on, little sister, please rest assured and boldly seduce me." Xia Wushuang hesitated for a moment, gathered his courage, and said softly, "Little brother, I'm going home. Do you want to come with me?" Ah! Lu Ziqing was stunned for a moment. Was he being shown love now? Is my charm really so amazing? Xia Wushuang said, "By this time next year, you will be old enough. My family will spend some money, and then we can invite our master to walk the way, and we can recommend you to study at Hongmeng Academy. I can also teach you some basic techniques of Tianqing sect first to see if they are suitable." "Thank you, but I can't." Lu Ziqing said, "I have some reasons why I must enter Hongmeng Academy immediately. Actually, it's not for the purpose of learning advanced martial arts." Lu Ziqing then shared his sister's assassination on her way to Beijing, as well as his own speculation, with someone targeting his Lu family. After listening to Lu Ziqing's simple explanation, Xia Wushuang couldn't help but be somewhat surprised. Is there an enemy hiding in the academy who must secretly protect her sister Lu Zishu and resolve the crisis? Xia Wushuang's thoughts flashed, and suddenly his expression became serious. "Your judgment, little brother, is correct," Xia Wushuang said sternly. "No matter who the people behind the scenes are, they will sooner or later destroy your Lu family to prevent future troubles. Don't have the heart of luck." But it seems that the Minister of Personnel, Mr. Zhua, and the Governor of Huangzhou, Mr. Du, are both from the Hongmeng faction. Even if there is a fight, they should not have taken such a cruel action. The Hongmeng faction, in simple terms, refers to the imperial concubine faction, or the Taisher faction, which is opposed to the Crown Prince faction and the Zongheng faction in the court. The Taisher faction is quite restless, not only focusing on war, but also advocating for a strong country through reform and the supremacy of monarchy. The Crown Prince faction, on the other hand, is a relatively conservative force that advocates balancing imperial power, strengthening the cabinet and governing the world with benevolence and kindness. The leftist and rightist factions, on the other hand, advocate the use of diplomatic and economic means to develop the country, improve productivity, engage in military campaigns, and then engage in diplomatic activities. From the perspective of the Earth, everyone has different political views, but in fact, they are all right. Are you sure that Lord Zhua is also from the Hongmeng faction? Lu Ziqing was stunned by Xia Wushuang's analysis, which made sense. Everyone is from the same faction, and they are using black-handed tactics against their colleagues under their noses. The Empress Dowager and Grand Preceptor are not foolish, wouldn't they be angry? If it were really a servant of the Ministry of Personnel who did this kind of buying evil, he would definitely fall into the lower class. Xia Wushuang said again, I suggest that if you can enter the academy, you must also maintain patience. Because once you disturb the people behind the scenes, they will definitely prioritize silencing your Lu family to protect themselves. If you continue to endure, the other party will not dare to continue to challenge your Lu family in the near future, so it will be safer instead. Are you not stupid? Lu Ziqing suddenly realized that Xia Wushuang was not always confused about everything. In some aspects of logic, it seems quite sharp. I am far more aware of the situation in Korea than I am. You're just stupid, Xia Wushuang felt a little confused. Why do you think, sister, that I'm stupid? Lu Ziqing automatically ignored this topic and bowed with a fist, thank you for your guidance. What are your plans now, little brother? Xia Wushuang felt a bit regretful. The little brother refused to go home with her, and she couldn't rest any longer. But this matter is not something she can solve. I naturally have a plan, Lu Ziqing said proudly, putting away all his camping equipment. I want to be a merchant at Hongmeng Academy. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. My plan is big healthcare. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. My plan is big healthcare. There are two possibilities to enter Hongmeng Academy besides being a formal disciple. One relatively simple way is to work as a laborer. The advantage of being a janitor is that you have the opportunity to enter the academy or even near the dormitory, but when it comes to janitories, you need to start from the bottom and obey management, so it is impossible for you to wander around. If assigned a fixed task, you might lose your freedom. So Lu Ziqing leaned towards another plan, which was to become a vendor in the academy. No matter what academy, wherever there are many people, daily vendors are needed, and Hongmeng Academy is no exception, no matter how noble it is. Selling weapons, clothes, groceries, food, and even various services. The disadvantage of vendors is that they cannot enter the key areas of the college, but the advantage of vendors is that the threshold is not high. As long as you can pass the review of the college supervisor and obtain a permit, you can enter the mountain gate and live in the designated neighborhood area, with more freedom of movement. For Lu Ziqing, it would be enough to enter the area at the entrance where he often communicates and inquires about information with his disciples. As for entering the teaching area and girls' dormitories, don't think about it. Even formal disciples cannot casually string around. Xia Wushuang also thought of the simplest way in an instant, to acquire the silk and satin factory or shoe store contracted by Hongmeng Academy. For the Xia family, although these are two very famous time-honored brands, it is very easy to buy them. Which one to buy? It's too troublesome. I bought them all, as well as the ones that supply stationery, paper, and brushes. I bought them all, I thought of it a long time ago, said Lu Ziqing. I also thought of it, Xia Wushuang said. You say it first. You speak first. Lu Ziqing cleared his throat and said, I open a massage parlor, unlike a mercenary team that requires at least 10 people to register and have fame. I only need 1 or 2 people. What is a massage parlor? Xia Wushuang was a bit confused and had never heard of it. It is achieved by pressing the meridians and massaging the muscles and bones to relax and promote blood circulation, making people feel comfortable, explained Lu Ziqing. He found that there is currently no massage industry in this world, and the treatment in medical institutions is only limited to acupoints with golden needles. If we combine the blind touch technology of the earth with the powerful internal skills of this world, wouldn't it be an extremely powerful craft? Due to certain reasons, Lu Zi had an idea early in the morning and practiced this craft to perfection. Are you saying the wrong hand for dividing tendons? Xia Wushuang listened to Lu Ziqing's idea and pondered whether the comfort that Lu Ziqing said made people feel so comfortable. You understand it correctly, that is, try not to separate the tendons and bones, but instead straighten the tendons and connect the veins to make people feel comfortable. Isn't that still about hitting someone? There's actually no difference between using the tendons and bones in a straight line and using the tendons and bones in a wrong direction. It must be very painful. How could you feel comfortable? Xia Wushuang couldn't figure it out, which normal person would be okay to seek abuse. Is it not good to go directly to the clinic if there is a problem? Healthcare is aimed at hidden diseases, and in most cases, people who are not sick can also come, which is very different from a medical clinic. Hey, it's difficult to talk to you. Lu Ziqing pulled Xia Wushuang to sit in front of him and kneaded his shoulder, head, and neck. For example, if you run out of true energy and are injured by someone, you can only recover after a night of meditation. There are still many uncomfortable places, many hidden injuries, dizziness, and fatigue. At this point, you need to come to me for a massage. Xia Wushuang was pinched and his neck creaked, with a series of mesmerizing moans coming out of his mouth. However, he suddenly felt very comfortable and refreshed afterwards. Oh, it feels good. Xia Wushuang moved his neck. Although it hurt a bit when he was pinched, he felt much more relaxed afterwards, and he felt very happy when his neck was pinched. The opponent's internal power actually penetrated into their own meridians, unblocking them and releasing swollen tendons. This is much faster than self-healing, and even faster than providing internal power assistance to heal injuries from the sect. Although this principle is simple, the technique is very advanced. What's even more special is that the treated party doesn't need to do anything on their own, just lie flat. Isn't the process of being pinched equivalent to being forced to practice martial arts? To assist in treating injuries, it is not necessary for two people to simultaneously exercise and cooperate with each other. Right. Lu Ziqing said confidently, how did you learn such a magical technique? I have a cell in my house where there are always scumbags who deserve to be beaten up. If we kill someone, we still refuse to confess. And my catcher is skilled in using eagle claws, so we often don't need a tiger stool to force confessions. Lu Ziqing said calmly about the blood and tears of 800 prisoners in Huangqiu County who became experimental subjects of dividing tendons and bones, covering up the truth of combining traditional Chinese medicine healthcare techniques with cultivation techniques. Follow your plan, Xia Wushuang said with a shy expression. Isn't this some kind of special medical clinic? But it can help more people and also assist in spiritual cultivation. My little brother's plan is really good. Why do I always want to rely on my family's financial resources? Wait, didn't you say you also have a plan? Lu Ziqing didn't know why and deeply regretted it. What is the reason for such a strong sense of loss of missing Abelian? My plan is not important, I feel ashamed now, so let's follow your plan. Xia Wushuang made up his mind and said, little brother, I've decided to work with you. If you follow the plan of the landing guy, it seems that it would be very easy to steal and learn martial arts. This comfortable and helpful technology should really be promoted and improved to benefit the immortal world. Are you not planning to go home? Lu Ziqing was surprised. There was really no intention of relying on Miss not to let go, she didn't leave on her own. I can't just return home with such shame, let alone lose the face of my school. Xia Wuxuang said resolutely, take me with you. Are you sure? Lu Ziqing felt that the other party's idea was very strange, and he became a handyman at the entrance of the academy, squeezing people's feet. Shouldn't he lose face with the school? I don't seem to feel ashamed, and I feel very honored. Just thinking about it, because there is no massage parlor in the general sense, pinching the feet is essentially a technique used by medical institutions, which is very sacred. If Xia Wuxuang joins, it will be very beneficial. Firstly, she can become a kanban girl, and secondly, it will be more convenient to receive female guests. She comes from a prestigious family, is easy to obtain a license, and can also provide cover for herself. Anyway, I can't go back like a lost dog. I also want to secretly learn the martial arts of the Shaoyan sect. Xia Wuxuang firmly found a reason, but in fact, he still couldn't let go of Lu Ziqing alone in his heart. Little brother, if you don't know about this matter, it's okay. If you do, your conscience will be uneasy. Okay, your condition is really suitable for the massage industry, Lu Ziqing said to herself. With her eyesight, can she directly display the sign of blind touch? This big myopia, although not blind, fully meets the conditions for blind massage. When flying with this kind of vision, the sword will not even collide with death, and the martial arts of Tianqing sect are unique. System prompt sound. Ding ding. Congratulations to the host, please bring one SSR technician. Lu Ziqing shook his head and drove away the warning sound he had imagined. Now let's go to the academy director to apply for a permit. Xia Wuxuang threw off her fried dough twists braid. She is a very active type. You can't do this, Lu Ziqing's innocent face showed an evil smile. I need to provide you with on-the-job training first. A 4th level sword immortal of Tianqing sect, learning meridian massage and pushing oil should be fast, right? Just judging from the commotion of pinching her just now, we need to find a more secluded place for training. Are you too exaggerated? Lu Ziqing sweated uncontrollably, pinching a few times without touching any sensitive parts. He also dressed well, with a handkerchief in his hand. If all the girls in this world react like you, I'd better reconsider this plan, otherwise it would be considered an inappropriate profession by the academy. I don't care. If you call me that again, I'm going to disrespect you. I'm holding on. Humph. You can call it whatever you want. Does the so-called physical defect refer to a physical condition that can easily scream at the slightest touch? After an hour of muscle massage by Lu Ziqing, Xia Wuxuang's body basically had no secrets to speak of. You can clearly feel how the true qi of Tianqing sect flows, where the meridians are blocked, and where the body is sensitive. Other people may not have imagined it, but Lu Ziqing truly recreated the essence of traditional Chinese medicine massage in this world and integrated advanced martial arts. Do you remember this basic technique? Now, you can press me instead. I didn't remember. Xia Wuxuang blinked his big eyes innocently. You pressed it too comfortably, I fell asleep. Big eyes blinking, why do you say you press so comfortably? Lu Ziqing jumped up high and threw an elbow at Xia Wuxuang's back. In the midst of the little sister's screams, he made a leap, pressing his knee against her back and pulling her arms back. Xia Wuxuang was torn into a big shrimp, emitting a painful and joyful howl. Lu Ziqing released his hand, and Xia Wuxuang's upper body bounced back and slapped his face on the ground with a pop sound. Then, a barrage of gunshots echoed from the back. Very suspicious sounds alternated in the small forest for 2 days, attracting many small animals to watch. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Pushed Down Mr. Qian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Pushed Down Mr. Qian. On this day, the enrollment assessment for the new academic year at Hongmeng Academy was completely completed. The number 1 on the overall list is actually a foreigner, Prince Abbas. Prince Abbas is actually a proton of non-aggression guarantee in the Great Zhou dynasty, a handsome guy with exotic charm. A tall and muscular figure, coupled with fair skin, a tall nose bridge, golden hair, and clear blue eyes like gemstones, is as beautiful as ever. Unfortunately, after the age of 8, he lived in Dazhou and became accustomed to the local customs and traditions. He spoke in authentic Mandarin and exuded a noble and scholarly demeanor. The outstanding and handsome face definitely made the young girl feel embarrassed, and the middle-aged woman wanted to scream upon seeing it. The second in line is Prince Ji Guangli of the Zhou dynasty, who is the youngest brother of the current emperor. Yes, the former emperor who has already abdicated has nothing to do in his spare time. The result of appreciating the beauty is that he has actually added a younger brother to the current emperor, who is 1 year younger than the crown prince. Although awkward, as a prince with a very special status, Ji Guangli had a very enjoyable life. Not only could she stay in the capital for a long time, but she was also very favored. The taboo of the current emperor is Ji Guang, whose name is Guangli. He clearly wants to be the son of today without any disobedience. Therefore, both the emperor and the emperor of the Zhou dynasty greatly favor him, even more so than the prince. Pianyud, charming, extremely intelligent and without any airs. I don't know how many young girls from the Zhou dynasty were conquered as soon as I left the imperial city. The third one is Lu Zishu. Although Lu Zishu did well in both written and interview exams, she lacked extra points in the internal exams that determine her overall ranking. Among the selected disciples, Huyang Academy will conduct a comprehensive examination with a variety of options, known as the internal examination. Prince Abbas of the Great Food is skilled in horseback riding and archery, outstanding in martial arts, and also skilled in rhythm and dance. Prince Guangli, on the other hand, is at the 5th level of military strategy and the 4th level of scriptures, with exceptional strategic skills. Both of them are proficient in both literature and martial arts, with many bonus points. However, Lu Zishu only excelled in dance in the internal examination, slightly increasing her score. In terms of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, which women can greatly increase, she is very ordinary. Although his proficiency in governing the classics is very good, he cannot compare to Prince Guangli, and he did not take any martial arts exams, so he ranks 3rd on the overall list. Wow, it's also very amazing. Lu Zishu's average grades, combined with her average grades, surprisingly made her a top 3. No other tricks, fewer mistakes, all rely on stability. The daughter of a county magistrate, after accumulating very average grades, can be tied for 3rd place with a prince and a prince. This influence is even more significant in the environment of Huyang Academy than in the top 3 high schools of the imperial examination. Especially with the grace of the Empress Dowager, who bestowed upon her a purple golden ruler and appointed her as the Minister of Personnel and female historian, the entire academy was in a state of uproar when the chief examiner of the academy publicly praised her at the opening ceremony. The ruler is in hand and can punish the princess. When the teacher is inconvenient, Lu Zishu can take over the beating. What a transcendent position is this! For a moment, some were amazed, some were jealous, some secretly drew circles, and some immediately wanted to build some friendships. As Lu Zishu walked forward calmly and took the imperial edict to express gratitude, the gaze of countless boys quietly became fiery. This delicate figure, with a gentle face like spring water, makes people feel pity upon seeing it. Fortunately, such a beautiful woman was never killed on the way, and that incident became widely known in Wangjing, which is really famous. In the crowd watching the ceremony, under the banner of Xiaoyun in the senior grade, Crown Prince Ji Chongli suddenly tightened her hand with a trigger and accidentally broke the fan bone of the bamboo folding fan in her palm. Your Highness the Crown Prince. A girl with excellent appearance and temperament noticed something unusual. It's nothing, the Crown Prince smiled gently, his gaze seemingly soothing the girl beside him, but when he looked back, he still quietly stared at Lu Zishu. What a beautiful person, as if the person in the painting has come to this world, and the fairy in the heavenly palace cannot compare to this lovable delicacy. But he could feel the resilience and pride hidden in the other person's bones. This is by no means an ordinary woman, she is not beautiful, she is perfect. Only he, the crown prince who has experienced similar experiences, can see through the strength of being introverted and patient under such immense pressure at a glance. But what is she enduring? There is something suspicious about this matter, which may be related to the academy. You may as well investigate the assassination of Miss Lu. The crown prince said calmly to the person beside him, his voice appearing gentle and majestic. Surrounded by the flattering voices of his classmates, His Highness the Crown Prince is truly upright and caring for his classmates. If someone really buys and assassinates for their own enrollment, then the black sheep cannot stay at Huyang Academy. Silence. The light drink from Master Si Li made everyone quiet. In the Huyang Academy, the Crown Prince was just a nominal disciple in the mortal world, and the so-called disciples in the world could not even be considered disciples of the 9 Great Gates. On the Tiangang Tower, Huyang Patriarch, who had been practicing in seclusion, suddenly opened his eyes and gazed not at the school opening ceremony, but at the Fengshe Street at the entrance of the mountain. The 2-foot-long white eyebrows danced like long snakes in the wind, and the halo created by Qian's technique replaced billions of stars in the pitch-black chamber, gradually fading away with the radiance shining in the eyes of our ancestors. Taibai enters the moon, Qianlong enters the abyss, and the stars shift. The originally clear star chart changes at this moment, and the future changes. Tianmenfang Market starts at the mountain gate and ends at the entrance of the academy. It is a market built on the edge of the mountain road using blocks of rest areas. It has a large area where students can come out and people from outside can also come in, belonging to such an intersecting area. The head of the academy, Mr. Qian, doesn't rub sand in his eyes. Anything that the academy doesn't need or that disciples shouldn't see will be thrown out with a broom. All goods brought in must undergo strict inspection, and anything that does not meet the standards of the academy must not be sold, and the quality must also be guaranteed. Although the regulations are strict, the things operated by the neighborhood streets are far more diverse than ordinary neighborhood streets because the requirements for use are often very high. Guest houses visited by relatives and friends, food stalls to satisfy cravings, in addition to the daily necessities that ordinary people may need, there are also mercenaries hired to complete tasks, materials needed to refine pills, the 4 treasures of study, musical instruments, clothing that consume a lot, iron shops for customizing and repairing weapons, tea, flowers, potted plants, ritual vessels, and so on that are necessary for learning etiquette, and so on. The vast area is filled with various shops and stalls. On every day of rest, it is open to the public, and many people come here specifically to buy and sell rare items, which gives off the feeling of a temple fair. It can be imagined that obtaining a business license for Tianmenfang City is very difficult. But fortunately, Xia Wuxuang failed to apply for swordsmanship training, and now he is not a stranger to General Manager Qian. After investigation, Xia Wuxuang was indeed practicing chivalry and righteousness. He had just fought a group of criminals for 2 hours and had already exhausted his true energy when competing with Ni Feihong. Although this cannot change the admission result, it is still somewhat pitiful. So the money manager received Xia Wuxuang and Lu Ziqing very politely. Anyway, the friendship between Tianqing sect and Huyang sect is even more genuine than real gold. Then a very comfortable sound came from the supervisor's room on Fengshe Street, and passers-by couldn't help but turn their heads to listen. What was going on inside? Does it sound like Miss Xia pushed down Mr. Qian? For a long time, Grandpa Qian calmly escorted Lu Ziqing and Xia Wuxuang out of the office. Xia Wuxuang gratefully said, "Thank you very much, General Manager." Manager Qian waved his hand and said, "Well, Miss Xia is truly a disciple of the Tianqing sect. She has unique techniques, and my waist won't hurt at once. Although Miss Xia, you didn't become a swordsmanship instructor, I think this massage parlor is a big surprise and will definitely be of great benefit to the entire academy. It's just that there are only 3,000 disciples in the academy, and you only have 2 of them. I'm afraid we still don't have enough manpower. I just started working with Brother Lu, Xia Wuxuang said with a smile, holding the business license in his hand. Hongmeng Academy covers tens of thousands of acres, some of which are land, but the rent is not cheap. Lu Ziqing rented a secluded courtyard, with the inner and outer suites connected to a wasteland, not yet facing the street. He already needed 20 taels of silver for rent in a month. The average annual household income of the common people in the Zhou dynasty was 2 taels of silver, and the high rent can be imagined. But the storefront and every stall here are quite profitable. Academy disciples are not allowed to leave the mountain gate casually. Whatever they want to buy can only be solved in Tianmenfang City. Shipping costs are recognized, so the most ordinary products can be sold here for up to 20% of the price. It is normal for some high-end products to be twice as expensive. At this moment, many people were curious about Xia Wuxuang and Lu Ziqing. Someone recognized that this girl came to apply for a job a few days ago, but Xia Wuxuang, who was violently beaten by an Ai Feihong, couldn't help but feel a bit contemptuous. This girl Xia didn't leave and shamelessly bribed the money manager. Did she use some shady methods? Manager Qian is probably being served by Mei. Didn't you hear the sound coming from the manager's room just now? The female shopkeeper selling herbs let out a sigh of disgust, not expecting the disciples of Tianqing sect to do such shameless things. Unfortunately, a group of stinky men were still talking incessantly like they had been beaten with chicken blood. No way, Xia Wuxuang is beautiful, with a pure face and a good figure. They only look for houses that don't face the street, so they can only do those inconspicuous jobs. The money manager usually doesn't bring in oil and salt, so I can't imagine he's also an old troublemaker. In just a few days, you will definitely be kicked out of the house. The fierce female general in armor, holding an iron gun in her hand, cursed at the mercenaries around her who were daydreaming. Warning you, if anyone engages in those vulgar things in the academy, don't blame me for silently sending out a deadly mission and doing it for you. Completely ignoring the commotion they caused on Fengshe Street, Lu Ziqing and Xia Wuxuang were busy preparing for a massage parlor. Xia Wuxuang thinks this plan is really good because such a house can be used for business during the day and can be used for sleeping after closing at night, even solving the problem of living space. Can we start learning martial arts secretly now? Xia Wuxuang was very enthusiastic. Don't always talk about your innermost thoughts. Lu Ziqing couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. He just wanted to learn some basic skills at the entry level, which all disciples in the world can learn, but he ended up acting like a thief. It can be said that self-esteem is the cause, but it can be easily pinched by others without any concern. Lu Ziqing shouted in front of his head, can we say that the matter of a scholar is theft? I didn't expect to sign the contract so quickly. I'm so happy. Today, I also received the starting point coin for my first reward. I need to work hard to save the manuscript. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The first guest of the Silk Pagoda Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The first guest of the Silk Pagoda Pavilion. It seems that little brother Lu's words always make sense. Xia Wuxuang watched as Lu Ziqing was busy, taking out the things from his Qianquan bag, bedding, cloth curtains, and arranging them all. 4 very sturdy single beds, with 2 inside and 2 outside, wrapped in curtains. Candlesticks and incense burners are all brought from home. Now you go to the bamboo forest by the river and move some bamboo over. Lu Ziqing assigned Xia Wuxuang a lot of work and kept busy himself. The people of the entire street watched as Xia Wuxuang flew back and forth, and then dug out the emerald green bamboo from his Qianquan bag one by one, surprisingly planting a bamboo forest. When it gets dark, the once inconspicuous and dilapidated mountain dwelling becomes a bamboo forest house, with bamboo forests surrounding the courtyard, giving off a somewhat winding and secluded atmosphere. Polish the entrance with primitive wooden boards and carve a few words as a sign. Silk Pagoda Pavilion. There is also a very strange pattern mark on it. SPA, the crooked symbol doesn't know what it means. SIPA. What does it mean? The people I saw were a bit confused, completely unaware of what they were doing. Selling handkerchiefs. Can't we? Looking at this serene environment, it's possible that it's actually a tea house. Then Mrs. Li has a competitor, someone laughed. Miss Xia is a 4th level sword immortal, with Qian sect serving as the backstage. It may not be easy to provoke. Get out of the way. A steel-bearded man, who was over 10 feet tall and dignified, walked inside with a pair of huge axes. Today, I'm going to see if it's really a shameful act. If it's really dirty, even if it offends the money manager, I'll make them go, even if I offend the ghost god Lao Zhang. Amidst the admiring gaze of a group of people, Xianxia entered the bamboo forest carrying a wooden axe. Is there anyone inside? Said the doorbell with a tap. Sir, please come in. Xia Wuxuang is responsible for opening the door to welcome guests. This hasn't been fully arranged yet, so there's business coming to you. Indeed, a novel profession is easy to attract people. Miss, are you really a disciple of Qian sect? Xianxia threw his axe to the ground and whispered softly, his eyes fixed on Xia Wuxuang as he looked up and down. Like a fake package exchange. Xia Wuxuang was a bit puzzled. Are you here to investigate your identity? What are you doing in this silk handkerchief shop? Xianxia's voice gradually became delicate, and his face turned red. Lu Ziqing served tea and crude pastries and said, Sir, the small shop is not fully prepared yet. Today, we only have 5 types of consumption to choose from, ranging from 1 or 2 taels of silver to 10 taels of silver. Please take a look at the sign on the wall. Xianxia looked at the delicate young man in front of him, and couldn't help but feel a chill. There are people who specifically enjoy playing with young and delicate characters, and he has also seen them before. And what's the sign on the wall? 5-element massage, calming the nerves and reducing pressure, vigorously loosening bones, the world under the feet, essence for beauty. Is this small shop actually a trick that he, a veteran driver in the martial arts world, has never tried before? Xianxia probed and said, yes. Did Miss Xia make it for me? Lu Ziqing said, Miss Xia can do it, and I can do it for you. Xianxia is experiencing another wave of chills. Damn it, it really is. However, as a renowned disciple, Xia Wuxuang's figure and appearance only cost 10 taels of silver to complete the most expensive project. That's not expensive. Xianxia was about to spit out saliva, trying to calm his mind, and excitedly asked, What kind of money did you give to the money manager today? Lu Ziqing said, Mr. Qian has a poor waist. What he has done for him is actually the most ordinary 5 elements massage of 1 or 2 silver coins. I want to be strong. Xianxia's eyes lit up. Is my ghost spirit comparable to that of old Qian's broken waist? Okay, please come inside and go to bed to change clothes. Xianxia took off all his clothes as quickly as possible. What is this? Do you need to change into a loose and soft nightgown? Easy to take off, quite particular, hee hee. You lie down on the bed. Miss Xia is ready to go. Lu Ziqing arranged for the other party to lie down, pulled up the cloth curtain, and lit an incense stick. Why do we have to lie down first? The lighting and atmosphere gradually became comfortable, and Xianxia placed his face in the hole at the head of the bed. This bed was a bit strange, but it was specifically designed for lying down. There must be something very unique. Xianxia couldn't help but feel a tightness in his chrysanthemum when he thought of something wonderful. Coming, Xianxia saw Xia Wuxuang's embroidered shoes from under the lying bed. Xianxia shyly raised his head slightly and saw Xia Wuxuang holding a pot of hot black needle stones. What kind of gameplay is this, actually using hot stones? Hey! Xia Wushuang let out a coquettish drink, jumped up, and elbowed Zhang Daxia on the back, dispelling his true anger. Zhang Daxia let out a painful cry, isn't that right? The crowd waiting outside the bamboo forest was filled with horror and started fighting. And on one side, the howling of the ghost god Lao Zhang never stopped. People with sharp hearing are even more likely to have their ears perked up and their faces filled with fear. This subtle bone creaking sound, with different tendons and bones, can't be wrong. Lao Zhang's joints were all taken off by someone, too hard, his hand was also broken, and his big crotch was also taken off. This huge bone joint sound, is this a broken waist? Someone wanted to save Lao Zhang, but was stopped and silently asked, how is your skill compared to Lao Zhang? At this moment, there was a sound of punches hitting flesh in the room, densely packed like bursting beans. Everyone is hesitant. Someone awkwardly said, Lao Zhang screamed so miserably and didn't shout for help, indicating that he didn't want anyone to intervene. Everyone nodded together. Lao Zhang stopped shouting. After a while, Lao Zhang dressed neatly and walked out, his steps a bit drifting. As he walked, he shook his head and said, Mom, that's enough energy. Everyone was in a state of shock, thinking that Lao Zhang had entered the gates of hell upon hearing the sound. However, looking at him with a rosy complexion, he seemed to enjoy himself quite a bit, and his whole body was light and ethereal. What are you all doing here? Said Zhang Daxia, the ghost god, when he saw many people at the door. So, what exactly is inside there? They make a serious living, you can understand it as some kind of medical institution. Zhang Daxia said with a clear mind, Shuang. Relaxing tendons and promoting blood circulation, relieving fatigue. My tendons have stretched out, and my blood and energy have also filled up. This so-called silk handkerchief clinic is actually a kind of medical institution that provides relief for muscles and bones, and treats hidden injuries. Oh, everyone had a sudden realization on their faces, but deep down they were all saying, I believe you're a ghost. A young man in the bamboo forest quickly chased after him and said, Brother Zhang, your weapon. Oh, it's so comfortable, I forgot. Everyone looked at the tough appearance of the ghost spirit, and then looked at the young man holding a pair of hatchets like grass poles, all taking a cold breath. Crouching tigers and hiding dragons, Zhang Daxia was indeed beaten, dare not say. So the reputation of the Silk Pagoda Pavilion quietly spread in Tianmenfang City. Xia Wushuang, who was completely unaware of this, was immersed in the joy of success and said, Haha, hitting someone can really make money, it's so satisfying. Lu Ziqing seems to have some understanding. Is it true that little sister is inherently violent? Watching her fight with a group of thieves covered in blood, just like Ling Qi on the scene, should have realized it myself. Xia Wushuang learned many advanced techniques for blind massage and eagerly pulled Lu Ziqing, actively striving for self-improvement. And Lu Ziqing also learned the beginner's mind technique of Tianqing sect from Xia Wushuang and practiced it under the guidance of the other party. Two people pressing each other can treat meridian damage for Xia Wushuang, and for Lu Ziqing, they can quickly learn advanced mental techniques. Both sides are very satisfied with each other's gains. No one is of high or low status, but there must be techniques. At the second and third levels of the upper 9 gates, one can already compete with ordinary experts in the martial arts world, with no distinction between high and low scores. As one of the 9 major sects, Tianqing sect's martial arts are quite superior. The internal mental techniques Guiyuan Qi and the sword technique Giyi sword technique can be practiced all the way until they carry the great road and become the correct method of sword immortal. In recent days, by observing the movement of true Qi in Xia Wushuang's body and with Xia Wushuang's guidance, Lu Ziqing can understand the key to the cultivation of returning energy. This is a mental technique that emphasizes the unity of all methods, condensing the whole body into one point and attacking the enemy in one place. Simply put, it is particularly reckless, but also particularly domineering. When the move is correct, use one move to kill the god, and when it is incorrect, kill a thief and splatter your entire body with blood. Lu Ziqing ran smoothly for a whole week, and the true qi in his body became very harmonious, with a delicate feeling of endless growth. Compared to my self-cultivated grassroots internal skills, this technique is indeed superior. As the sky lit up, I unconsciously practiced all night, and the sound of the morning bell rang in the academy. Lu Ziqing opened his eyes and walked out of the house to look at the towering golden hall amidst the clouds and smoke. Sister Lu Zishu should be dividing classes today, right? There are 4 major academies in Hongmeng Academy, named Tianhong Academy, Lingxiao Academy, Shenwu Academy, and Qian Academy, which are respectively presided over by the immortals of the 4 major sections. In addition to basic cultivation content, each has its own emphasis. Each college has 3 classes, corresponding to 3 grades of high school and low school. The strongest disciple serves as the mountain leader, which is equivalent to the student president of the earth. Here, they are called senior brothers by everyone. If the situation is not good in one college, you can apply to transfer to another college on your own, but transferring is equivalent to repeating, and many things need to be studied again. If you can't keep up, you'll have to drop out of school. Therefore, choosing a college for class division is a very important thing, and we must not be hasty. Fortunately, Hongmeng Academy has a set of celestial performance rituals that can measure the physical fitness of students and help determine which sect of martial arts is suitable for cultivation. Huntian Hall. One of the most sacred halls of Hongmeng Academy, symbolizing the fortune of Kyushu. At this moment, Princess Huyang stood in front of the Tianyanii, trying to make herself appear low-brow and pleasing to the eye. Hongmeng Ancestor sat upright on the lotus platform, surrounded by immortal masters from the 4 courtyards. But seeing the Dharma like a mountain, the fire of karma like a heavenly wheel, all that one can see is solemn. Since entering the academy, this is the first occasion where one can pay respects to the Hongmeng Ancestor, and all the disciples are very excited and nervous. It is impossible for people to seek a glimpse of the gods, but they have the opportunity to directly worship the Heavenly One and experience the grandeur of the immortal path. Princess Huyang cautiously looked up at Tianyanii. The heavenly performance ceremony is 9 feet high and is composed of 9 colored immortal dragons coiled around jade pillars. Under the jade pillar, there is another pair of iron dragons standing in front of people with their mouths open. Under the gaze of the immortals, Princess Huyang placed her hand into the mouth of the iron dragon. This iron dragon has a ferocious shape and sharp teeth, which makes people a bit scared. There is a legend in Hongmeng Academy that if a subject harbors evil thoughts, the iron dragon will suddenly come to life and bite its hand. The tentacles of iron dragon's teeth were cold, and Princess Huyang couldn't help but feel a little scared. Isn't this really going to come alive? If it's cast, it really looks too much like a real dragon. There are also many dragon sculptures in the palace, none of which can be so realistic. However, this princess is not a cunning person, because this world belongs to the family of this palace. Princess Huyang calmed down and opened her heart. End of this chapter.